On a dark and windy night perfect for murder, a severely wounded servant from the general's mansion was struggling to escape in the snow. Behind him on the rooftop, a mysterious figure in black watched his every move like a predator stalking its prey. Seeing the moment was right, the mysterious person immediately called for companions. Their target was the injured man below. They must keep him alive. The man's wounds continued to bleed. Amidst the howling wind, he seemed to sense the danger behind him. With a piercing scream echoing through the night sky, the man's fate was likely sealed. This was the largest in within 10 miles, with guests coming and going every day. What attracted people here wasn't just the aged new Ahong wine in storage, but also a little-known legendary tale. At this moment, the innkeeper was whispering with his waiter about the mother and daughter who checked in yesterday and were now practicing medicine at the inn's entrance. The innkeeper disdained their actions, thinking they were charlatans trying to scam money like wandering doctors. However, their attire didn't resemble typical wandering healers, especially the young girl's demeanor, which even a thin veil couldn't conceal. The girl, with her crystal-clear voice, was instructing patients on how to take their medicine. Disappointingly, the innkeeper couldn't stand it anymore. If something went wrong, these two might flee, but his inn would remain. So he immediately stopped them. The girl remained expressionless, her bright eyes calmly gazing at the innkeeper. The innkeeper claimed that they were just pretending to be doctors with a simple sign, and as weak women, they were clearly deceiving people. Seeing the innkeeper's expulsion order, the girl showed displeasure. The innkeeper, seeing they were women easy to bully, kept talking endlessly until the girl called out uncle, making him stop. Though it seemed she was silent to prepare for an argument, she was actually observing the innkeeper's health condition. The girl asked the innkeeper if he often felt pain behind his breastbone and chest, sometimes accompanied by night sweats. Upon hearing this, the previously aggressive innkeeper deflated like a punctured eggplant, as she had accurately described his symptoms, especially his irritability. In his restlessness, the excited waiter betrayed the innkeeper, confirming all symptoms the girl mentioned. The girl gestured. I see the innkeeper is clearly in his 40s. Reeking of alcohol during the day, haggard appearance, bloodshot eyes, surely from years of overwork. With such a large business, this illness isn't surprising. But this condition needs early detection and treatment. If left untreated, I'm afraid the girl didn't keep him guessing. If left untreated, death would be inevitable. The previously arrogant innkeeper was now terrified. When survival was at stake, pride and face didn't matter anymore. The innkeeper immediately changed his tune, calling her divine doctor and begging for help. The girl's name was Zhao Ling'er, who had fled here with her mother. Her mother found Ling'er grooming a chestnut horse in the stable. Seeing her mother, Ling'er said, "Mother, I'm grooming little Kai. Why aren't you resting at this late hour?" Her mother pointed at her. Your actions today were too rash. Confronting the innkeeper directly, you should know this makes us too conspicuous. Don't forget our current situation is one of escape, not sightseeing. Survival must come first. I don't ask for much, I just want you to be safe. At this point, Zhao Ling'er recalled the tragic massacre of her family years ago, from which only she and her mother had barely escaped alive. How can there be peace without avenging this great hatred? Her mother immediately comforted her, saying what's done is done, and dwelling on it serves no purpose. Moreover, 7 years had passed since the tragedy, and they still hadn't discovered who was behind it or why the Zhao family was massacred. That great fire had reduced the Zhao mansion to ashes. The towering flames remained an indelible nightmare for mother and daughter. The next day, Zhao Ling'er changed into simple clothes and went to the back mountain to gather herbs with her medicine basket. Thanks to her father's careful training, she was agile, capable of being as gentle as a maiden in medicine and as swift as a rabbit when gathering herbs. That family massacre had forced her to grow up quickly from what should have been a privileged young lady's life. On her way back to the inn, the vigilant Zhao Ling'er sensed someone following her. Sure enough, not far from her were two men, one in white robes and one in black, with mysterious expressions no less sinister than death itself. Zhao Ling'er remained alert while pretending to be casual. She kept a close eye on their every move. Then, using her knowledge of the market's layout, she vanished into the crowd with a single movement. The two men were shocked. They had underestimated Zhao Ling'er, who had disappeared right under their noses. They lost their composure, searching aimlessly through the streets like headless flies for any trace of Zhao Ling'er. While they were panicking, a graceful shadow flashed before their eyes. The figure moved with fluid grace, taking down the white-robed man with a knee strike. It was Zhao Linger, who had seemingly vanished earlier. Seeing his companion struck down, the man in black immediately drew his sword to slash at her. Zhao Linger remained composed. While closely watching the black-robed man's movements, she gripped the herb-cutting knife hidden at her waist. When the moment was right, she drew it with a powerful half-moon slash. The black-robed man underestimated her again and was wounded by her herb knife. Just as she had the upper hand, fighting 2-on-1, Zhao Linger suddenly hesitated. She realized they couldn't stay and fight. They had to leave immediately. Zhao Linger hurriedly returned to the inn, urging her mother to pack their belongings. Their location had been exposed, and they needed to move immediately. Thus, they rode their beloved horse, Little Kai, escaping under the cover of night. However, Zhao Linger was shocked to discover that despite their swift reaction, they were still being pursued. The sound of bells and hooves behind them indicated several pursuers. Zhao Linger bent low over the horse's back, telling Little Kai to hurry, as their lives hung in the balance. Suddenly, the twang of bowstrings rang out, and multiple arrows flew toward them like rain. One arrow grazed Zhao Linger's face as she continued spurring the horse forward. Zhao Linger never imagined their enemies would be so determined to eliminate them, even sending archers to hunt down a widow and her daughter. In this situation, Zhao Linger decisively urged her mother to dismount. Only on foot could they avoid the attacks. Then Zhao Linger quickly instructed Little Kai to run and draw away their attackers. After years together, Little Kai had developed human-like understanding, even facing death for his young mistress. He was willing to charge forward without hesitation. Meanwhile, Zhao Linger and her mother took a different path, going in the opposite direction from Little Kai. Zhao Linger's strategy worked. Hearing the horse's hooves, the leader of the archers led his men in pursuit of the sound. Suddenly, one of the followers behind noticed something was wrong and immediately called out to stop him. Though his face was covered with black gauze, his eyes were as sharp as a predator hunting in the night. The man suggested splitting into two groups, one to follow the horse's hooves and one to search in the opposite direction. Thus, the sounds of pursuit that had just faded away became clear again. Zhao Linger knew things were bad. Their plan had likely been discovered. Haven't shaken them off? Or has Little Kai already? In such situations, it's truly difficult to stay calm. As they spoke, they spotted a dilapidated temple nearby. Zhao Linger could only hide there with her mother, hoping for divine protection. Zhao Linger pressed herself against the door, monitoring the situation outside while thinking of their next move. However, the pursuers came so fiercely, they gave her no time to think. In the blink of an eye, dozens of mounted archers surrounded the small temple. Out of options, Zhao Linger told her mother she would charge out, creating a chance for her mother to escape. Clearly, no mother would agree to such a plan. Her mother raised her hand and threw out a handful of powder. Hearing her mother's call, Zhao Linger turned and was unexpectedly hit by the powder. In the next moment, she began losing control of her body, feeling weak and dizzy. Could this be the legendary 13-spice paralysis powder? By now, Zhao Linger had collapsed, unable to muster any strength. She seemed to understand what her mother planned to do. Her mother told the still-conscious Zhao Linger that the enemy's quick arrival meant they had seen through their diversion tactic. Now, all Zhao Linger needed to do was hide quietly in the temple. Her mother slowly stood up, saying softly that she would handle those outside. As her mother walked to the door, Linger tried to call out to her. Her mother called Zhao Linger's name again. She only said 5 words, "Live on well," before opening the door. Zhao Linger struggled to stop her, but the powerful paralysis powder left her immobile. The temple door opened, and in the cold moonlight stood her mother's resolute silhouette. Seeing someone emerge, the leader smirked. As expected of General Zhao's wife, you're quite resourceful. Even the cold-hearted assassin leader couldn't help but admire Lu Xiao's courage and determination. Lu Xiao responded casually to their praise. These are just empty titles given by others. Looking at the assassin leader, Lu Xiao understood he must have ulterior motives, otherwise he could have killed her with one stroke outside the temple. The leader made no attempt to hide it. If you come with us, you'll be spared from suffering. Lu Xiao rejected the offer without hesitation. The leader hadn't expected such backbone from a mere woman. Hearing the argument, Zhao Linger fought against her paralyzed body. She struggled to peek out to check on her mother's situation. As expected, Lu Xiao, who was prepared, seized the moment to throw out the powder. In that instant, she grabbed the leader's weapon. She resolutely chose to end her own life. Only this way could she save her daughter. Separated by just a window, Zhao Ling'er could only watch helplessly as her mother died before her eyes. Blood stained the curtains, its shocking color particularly heart-wrenching. Zhao Ling'er felt dazed. In just a moment, she was eternally separated from her mother. Despite using all her strength, she couldn't make a sound, only heavy breathing and tears flowing from her eyes. The assassins outside weren't satisfied. With their mission failed, the master would surely blame them. Fortunately, the captured butler had revealed some inside information days ago. Zhao Ling'er hadn't expected they had a backup plan, not even sparing the butler. He had revealed that before his death, the general had visited Yuanshan Academy. With a new target in mind, the leader prepared to leave hastily. His subordinate asked how to handle Lu Xiao's body. Looking at Lu Xiao's dignified corpse, the leader decided to burn everything, temple and all, to avoid future trouble. Hearing this terrible news, Zhao Ling'er's tears fell again. She couldn't even protect her mother's remains. Giving her no time to think, the leader gave the order, and torches were thrown inside. They landed directly on Lu Xiao's body, the raging flames illuminating her delicate features. It allowed Zhao Ling'er to see her mother's death clearly. Such vengeance could never be forgiven. Seeing the flames rise, the subordinates hurriedly asked their leader about the next step. As the flames slowly consumed the temple, destroying all evidence, Zhao Ling'er remembered the white jade pendant her mother had given her in childhood. It was the first time she'd received such a beautiful gift. She recalled her mother's smile, her gentleness while helping her wear it, and her own joy. All those beautiful memories surfaced, but those happy days would never return. Thinking of this, Zhao Ling'er wept uncontrollably. She hated her helplessness. Even the last bit of warmth in her life had been forcibly erased by these assassins. Time passed and little Kai's gentle hoofbeats sounded nearby. Upon awakening, everything seemed strange to her, but at least little Kai was still by her side. Memories pieced together in her mind. After the temple fire, little Kai had rushed in to save her. Remembering her mother's body in the temple, when Zhao Ling'er looked up, she discovered the burning temple had blazed all night without extinguishing. 7 years ago, the general's mansion was destroyed. Last night, her mother died tragically. Recalling the assassin's words before leaving, they would surely search for clues at Yuanshan Academy. Zhao Ling'er silently vowed to uncover the truth and avenge her family. But for now, without her mother's protection, where in this vast world could she find refuge? Meanwhile, at Yuanshan Academy, a young servant was urging his young master to hurry, not to be late for classes. But the young master wasn't worried. Instead, he spoke of some hidden conspiracy. Why else would he suddenly be sent to study? It seemed quite impulsive. Meanwhile, Zhao Ling'er, after disguising herself as a man, needed to obtain an admission token to take the Yuanshan Academy entrance exam. But how could she get hold of such a token? The fine rain came unexpectedly, but fortunately, there was a small shop ahead. The finally awakened young master and his servant galloped on horseback, complaining about the sudden rain. Clearly, the nearby small shop was the best choice for shelter from the rain. With a shelter from the wind and rain, the young master's mood finally improved. The rain likely wouldn't stop anytime soon. He decided to stay at the shop, giving instructions to both his servant and the shopkeeper. After booking 2 rooms, the servant checked their belongings for water damage. Suddenly, an argument from the next table caught the young master's attention. Looking back, he saw a burly man drinking. The man was endlessly berating his subordinates for their incompetence, claiming they couldn't handle even simple tasks. Being stuck in a place like this because of rain, you fools don't even understand such basic things. The young master listened to the commotion, thinking to himself how strange this man's temper was. Curious, he asked the shopkeeper about the man. The shopkeeper said he was just a merchant who regularly passed through, a regular customer. Seeing the man's demeanor, his money-grubbing attitude, and harsh treatment of subordinates, the young master lost interest in watching. He still had his own mess to deal with. Just then, another drenched person entered, dressed as a scholar, with raindrops on their cheeks. The daydreaming young master was drawn to the sound, quickly turning to look. He saw someone with delicate features and a cool demeanor. Though wearing simple robes, they had an unmistakable presence. With just that fleeting glance, the young master realized there could be someone so beautiful in this world. This was Zhao Linger in male disguise. To avoid suspicion, this was her only option. Seeing they had nothing to dry themselves with, the young master hurried forward and offered his handkerchief. This sudden kindness from a stranger left Zhao Linger uncertain whether to accept. But seeing no ill intent in the man before her, who even warned about catching cold, after some hesitation, Zhao Linger timidly reached out and took the handkerchief. Holding it, everything felt surreal to her. The smiling young master, however, seemed to think nothing of this small gesture. The waiter came over then, showing her to the upstairs rooms. As Zhao Linger walked upstairs, her eyes unconsciously drifted toward the young master. He seemed like a decent person. Though just a handkerchief, she appreciated his concern. The servant, worried his master might cause trouble again, hurried over to ask about what happened. Learning he had lent his used handkerchief to a stranger, the servant's face darkened. Only then did the young master realize he might have done something inappropriate in his impulsiveness. He could only scratch his head awkwardly. What's done was done. Going upstairs, Zhao Linger's ears perked up at hearing the words admission token. Sure enough, the servant pulled out an admission token marked with Yuanshan Academy. What she had searched so hard for was right before her eyes. A case of finding without seeking. The servant sighed in relief, seeing the token undamaged. Being wooden, it wouldn't cause problems during the exam. Zhao Linger frowned. So these two were also heading to Yuanshan Academy for the exam. It seemed the young master who had offered her the handkerchief was the owner of this admission token. Realizing this, Zhao Linger felt regret. Though he seemed nice, she couldn't let this rare opportunity slip away. She had to find a way to take the admission token from him. He probably wouldn't survive the night anyway. With the token, the next steps would be much smoother. Finding the truth would be within reach. But how to get the token successfully? Late at night, Zhao Linger carefully opened the young master's window under cover of darkness. Her steps were light, afraid of making the slightest sound. She couldn't let her theft fail now. Getting the token wouldn't be difficult, but when this guy wakes up and finds it missing, he'll surely cause an uproar. If he persists and follows to the academy, it would cause even bigger problems. In for a penny, in for a pound, Zhao Linger drew her weapon, ready for a fatal strike. Though she didn't want to harm this innocent bystander to avoid complications, she had to eliminate him to prevent future troubles. Outside the window, the rain continued. Zhao Linger couldn't help but recall that afternoon, when both parents were by her side, protecting her from any harm. Under their protection, her innocent self could enjoy running in the rain. Mother would gently dry her with a handkerchief, and father wouldn't scold her for playing too much. As long as she was happy, they were happy. That blissful life knew no sorrow. The family's time together was both warm and sweet. But now life was like walking on thin ice, living in constant fear, evading pursuit, and risking danger to steal tokens. Zhao Linger silently apologized, but her movements were swift. A life was about to end, but suddenly his gentle smile flashed in her mind, along with the lingering warmth of the handkerchief he had offered. But she couldn't stop now. If she did, all efforts would be wasted. The more she thought about it, the more vivid the day's memories became, disturbing her heart and thoughts. He had smiled and offered a handkerchief, saying, "Dry yourself quickly. Be careful not to catch cold." This long-forgotten kindness made her murderous dagger stop just short of the killing stroke. After much internal struggle and reluctance, she abandoned the thought of killing. In that moment of hesitation, Zhao Linger decided to spare his life temporarily and search for the token instead. If he caused trouble or interfered at the academy, she could kill him then. In the dim moonlight and unlit room, she searched but couldn't find the token. Not in the bundle. Could he be carrying it? Zhao Linger looked curiously at the bed. Indeed, he had placed it under his pillow. This would require some effort. Zhao Linger moved carefully, praying he wouldn't wake up now. Suddenly, the young master turned unexpectedly, scaring Zhao Linger half to death. Before she could react, the young master stared at her with eyes full of questions. She had finally gotten the token, but the young master woke up. Of all possibilities, she should have used sleeping powder. The now alert young master realized the masked person before him was a thief. He grabbed Zhao Linger's collar. Pinning her forcefully to the bed, he demanded, "How dare you break into my room in the middle of the night? Who are you?" Belated regret instantly filled Zhao Linger's heart. She blamed herself for being too careless. The next moment, the cloth on her face was forcefully torn off, revealing a delicate and handsome face. The young master saw her features clearly. No, it was the handsome young man who had given him the handkerchief earlier today. With her hidden identity exposed, should she eliminate him now? A moment of indecision made her overlook the hand that was firmly gripping her collar. That hand happened to be on her chest, and Zhao Linger froze again. The soft sensation under his hand instantly made the young master realize that the young man beneath him was actually a woman. Before he could speak, Zhao Linger slapped him and loudly called him a bastard and a pervert. The well-planned operation was completely ruined. The confused young master was still shocked by her true gender. Now not only had the token theft failed, but her identity as a woman was also exposed. Zhao Linger was unusually flustered. What should she do now? Should she knock him out or just kill him? When she interacted with him earlier, she hadn't detected any inner power. Just then, the young master suddenly pressed closer, creating an overwhelming pressure in the narrow bed. While muttering, "So that's it," he boldly met Zhao Linger's gaze. He had discovered Zhao Linger's purpose tonight, the Yuanshan Academy token. "So you came to steal this, dressed as a man, planning to sneak into the academy? Don't wait. You want to study there." An irritated Zhao Linger broke free from his restraint. "Yes, I want to study. Why can't women study?" As soon as she finished speaking, she raised the token and struck the young master hard. The force was so great that half his face swelled up immediately. In one night, he'd been beaten twice. However, he didn't mind, and instead, an idea formed in his mind. He decided to make a deal with Zhao Linger. As for what the deal would be, he would decide. Hearing this, Zhao Linger remained vigilant, continuing to glare at him. The young master remained calm, stating his conditions. "I'll help you get into the academy, achieve your goal." Zhao Linger immediately retorted, "Do you think I'm stupid? Who would help someone who comes to steal at night?" Her words played right into the young master's hands. "So, this is just a transaction, not me wanting to help you, because I have my conditions. First, tell me your real purpose for going to the academy. Don't try to fool me with excuses." Zhao Linger frowned deeply. She absolutely couldn't reveal her revenge plans. Once discovered by the assassins, death would be her only fate. The young master continued on, "Just tell me your purpose, and tonight's events will be forgotten. I'll never mention it again." As he spoke, the young master lifted Zhao Linger's hair. Ching Ching whispered the second requirement in her ear. "You must agree to fulfill one of my wishes." With someone else holding leverage over her, Zhao Ling couldn't even run away. Her visible panic made it impossible to imagine what this wish might be. The young master's sudden approach made Zhao Ling even more flustered. "As for this wish, I haven't thought of it yet. You can help me with it later when I decide." Such unreasonable demands were unbelievable to Zhao Linger's ears. She decided not to entangle with him further. This person wasn't as simple as he appeared. She loudly questioned the young master's identity. "Who are you really? Why are you deliberately toying with me?" At this point, the young master scratched his head awkwardly. "I forgot to introduce myself earlier. My name is Sikong Ming Chongshan, just a wanderer traveling around. But as you can see now, I'm preparing to take the exam at Yuanshan Academy." The surname Sikong was particularly special, making Zhao Linger think of the Sikong family in her memories. Just as she was about to ask, Sikong Chongshan yawned repeatedly beside her. "We'll talk about your matter later. Why don't we go for a walk tomorrow? Remember to dress nicely," he said with a provocative smile. His use of the word miss was particularly jarring. The long night finally passed, and Zhao Linger, for the first time ever, changed into women's clothes and put on earrings. Downstairs, Sikong Chongshan had already changed into different attire and was waiting for something. With the creaking sound of the door opening, a figure slowly drifted past. Hearing the sound, Sikong Chongshan immediately turned to look. But the sight before him truly shocked him. Dressed in women's clothing, Zhao Linger appeared even more charming, with her hair carefully styled. Sikong Chongshan found it hard to connect this beautiful lady with the thief from last night. Feeling uncomfortable under his stare, Zhao Linger changed the subject, asking where they were going to walk. But Sikong Chongshan's walk was just that, a walk. He simply didn't want to walk with her when she was dressed as a man. Curious, he asked about Zhao Linger's name, as last night's events were truly extraordinary. Without thinking, Zhao Linger gave a fake name, I'm called Lin Qian. But in the next second, Sidu Chongshan saw through her trick and directly said her name was fake. But a name is just a name, not something important. It doesn't matter what you're called. Hearing this, Zhao Linger's rigid expression gradually softened. However, the sudden nickname still stunned her. I'll call you Little Qian from now on. Ignoring Zhao Linger's resistance. Why do you want to enter the academy? You should tell me now. After long contemplation, Zhao Linger uttered those two words, for revenge. Though just two words, Sidu Chongshan could hear their weight. Revenge for whom? For your family. Of course for my family. For my father and mother. For all my clan members. Recalling that blood-filled night, except for her mother and herself, who escaped successfully, no other clan members survived. But these assassins wouldn't rest. They had to force my mother to her death, making her take her own life. At this point, Zhao Linger's eyes were filled with tears, but she stubbornly refused to let them fall. Not wanting Sikong to see her in such a state, she turned her back to him. The atmosphere was too oppressive, making Zhao Linger want to escape. But before she could take a few steps, a hand grabbed her arm. Sikong pulled her back to the pavilion. It's raining outside. Be careful not to catch a cold. Even in the rain, you can't take back the tears in your eyes. Not wanting Sikong to see her vulnerable side, she covered her face with her wide sleeve, desperately trying to wipe away her tears with the fabric. Realizing he was meddling, Sikong felt awkward. But regarding sneaking into the academy, he really hadn't thought of a good method yet. Zhao Linger sensed something was off. You've been thinking for so long. Don't tell me you're making this up as you go. But making it up as we go has its advantages. First, we need to prepare a time card. But it's too late now. Why don't we just make a fake card to get through? A fake card? Zhao Linger had only thought about stealing a real one, never about making a fake one. It was like a sudden awakening. But where could they get a fake card? Just then, yesterday's merchant was directing his men to move goods. Sikong watched their busy figures thoughtfully, lost in contemplation. Little did they know that ill-tempered merchant was secretly observing them too. Especially when he saw Zhao Linger in women's clothing. Her graceful figure captivated him. Sikong suddenly remembered that this merchant was a wood carver. But what if he let slip about making the fake card? What would they do if people found out? Should they just kill him? If those assassins learned about this, it would be even worse. Sikong looked at Zhao Linger with a serious expression, patting her head. Don't worry about anything while I'm here, because I've thought of a perfect plan. It's absolutely foolproof, though you'll have to endure some discomfort. As night fell, Zhao Linger was fully prepared. They had to make the wood carver create a fake card, but they needed leverage to ensure he wouldn't reveal anything later. Soaking in the bathtub, Zhao Linger wondered if Sikong's plan would work. The discomfort in the plan turned out to be a honey trap. They would seduce the merchant, spread news about a woman bathing, and catch him when he came. Such a perfect plan only needed one beautiful person. But Zhao Linger was still worried. What if he doesn't come? Better to just kill him than use this honey trap. This trick seemed too despicable and risky. Sikong pinched her cheeks. That merchant will definitely come. After all, you have quite a pretty face. Sikong Chongshan pinched Zhao Qianlin's cheeks and smiled. Don't worry, I'll be keeping watch outside. Zhao Qianlin was speechless at his actions. Just as Zhao Qianlin tried to slap him, unexpectedly, he easily caught her wrist. She angrily shouted, "Stay away from me. You're the one I trust least." Sikong Chongshan nursed his hurt hand. You hit really hard. However, he turned away disdainfully, frowning. Through gritted teeth, she said, I can handle him myself. Don't meddle. As Zhao Qianlin walked away, Sikong Chongshan watched her leave. Fine, I don't care. It'd be better if something happened to you. After saying this, Sikong Chongshan pouted and snorted, with a tsundere expression. That evening, Zhao Qianlin took a bath according to their plan, just waiting for someone to appear. Much time passed, and Zhao Qianlin was losing patience. Resting her hands on the wooden tub, it's so late, the plan must have failed. Suddenly, someone approached the room. That person touched the door, watching her blurry silhouette inside. Suddenly, they used a bamboo pole to pierce the window paper and blew sleeping smoke inside. The room filled with smoke, but Zhao Qianlin hadn't noticed anything wrong. She continued bathing in the smoke-filled room. Resting her chin on her hand, she looked tired. She didn't know what was happening, only feeling very sleepy. He suddenly felt drowsy. His eyes could barely stay open. Now, Zhao Qianlin hadn't realized it was due to sleeping drugs. Then he rubbed his eyes that were barely staying open. Why am I suddenly feeling dizzy? At this moment, someone opened the door. Meanwhile, Sikong Chongshan was keeping watch on the roof. Wearing thin clothes, he was shivering, feeling the cold penetrate to his bones. He rested his chin on his hand, staring into the distance, pondering their plan. Why? Why is there still no movement from his side? On the other side, Zhao Qinlin quickly stood up in the bathtub. Looking at the masked person before him, he panicked. You, who are you? When did you come in? Supporting his tired body, he got out of the tub. I didn't expect them to use sleeping incense. This person really came, but the situation wasn't good now. The man's eyes narrowed, his brows slightly furrowed. His gaze revealed evil intentions. I didn't expect such a fine woman to be staying at this inn. Zhao Qinlin desperately supported himself, gritting his teeth to avoid falling. Due to his strong will, he hadn't passed out yet. At this time, Sikong Chongshan was still shivering, but his heart was worried about Zhao Qinling. I hope nothing's happened to him. Just then, Zhao Qinling reached for the teapot on the table. He had prepared thoroughly to protect himself. Watching the man approaching, he threw the teapot. Don't come near me! But the man easily dodged it. The man looked at him in disbelief. You've been drugged yet still conscious until now? Impressive. Zhao Qinling backed away in panic. Soon, the man's hand reached for Zhao Qinling, trying to cover his mouth. This moment terrified him, his eyes widening. Suddenly, hearing a familiar voice, Zhao Qinlin slowly opened his eyes. What he saw was that familiar yet strange person. Sikong Chongshan held a wooden stick, bending down to look at him. It's all right now. Zhao Qinlin looked at the person beside him, then back at him, dazed. Then, Sikong Chongshan slowly crouched down, smiling at him. Looks like I wasn't too late. I've knocked that guy unconscious. As his words fell, Zhao Qinlin let out a gentle sigh. At this moment, his tense feelings finally relaxed. Just as he concernedly asked Zhao Qinlin, "Are you okay?" Unexpectedly, Zhao Qinling's body was swaying unsteadily. In an instant, Zhao Qinling fell straight into Sikong Chongshan's arms. Sikong Chongshan watched this scene in surprise. What's wrong with you? Zhao Qinling fell steadily into his arms, and Sikong Chongshan raised his hands to support his shoulders. He was surprised by this intimate embrace. Instantly, Sikong Chongshan's face turned red as he looked at the girl in his arms. Why did she suddenly faint? What should I do now? The next morning, the drug's effects finally wore off. Zhao Qinlin slowly opened his eyes to see Sikong Chongshan's face. He was sitting casually nearby, resting his head on his hand. When he saw Zhao Qinlin wake up, he sighed and asked, "You're finally awake." But when Zhao Qinlin clearly saw his face, he was startled, his pupils suddenly dilating. He was surprised to see the person in front of him. Sikong Chongshan crossed his arms. "You slept all night. Good to see you finally awake." Zhao Qinlin heard these words and rubbed his heavy head. Zhao Qinlin tried to recall what happened last night, but the more he thought, the more his head hurt. His head felt like it was about to explode, so he had to stop remembering. Only remembering bits and pieces, he hurriedly asked the person in front of him, "Did you get the token?" This question was met with silence. After what seemed like forever, Sikong Chongshan turned his back to Zhao Qinlin. A moment later, he sighed helplessly. The plan failed. However, Zhao Qinlin couldn't believe it. "You didn't get the token? Why didn't you get it? How did it fail?" Suddenly, Sikong Chongshan turned his head and smiled. He said contentedly, "Just kidding. It was all just a joke he played." These words shocked Zhao Qinlin. He never expected the person in front of him would joke about this matter. Then, Sikong Chongshan took out the Yuanshan Academy wooden token. The replica had been made overnight. He threw the token to Zhao Qinling, who caught it steadily with both hands. He looked at the token in disbelief. Sikong Chongshan, sitting aside drinking tea, lazily spoke. The craftsmanship of this token was quite complex. Zhao Qinlin ignored him as he continued talking. "Fortunately, I arrived in time last night. I brought the smoke tools too. With both witness and evidence, the old man made it overnight." Hearing this, Zhao Qinlin didn't know what to say, then heard him say, "Aren't you going to thank me?" Zhao Qinlin happily held the wooden token. "Well, thank you this time." At this moment, Zhao Qinlin had let down his guard. That thank you made Sikong Chongshan blush. He pretended to be calm while drinking tea, but his expression had already betrayed him. Suddenly, he gave a light cough, unconsciously turning his head back. His blushing face faded somewhat due to the cough. But when he turned his head, seeing the scene before him, he was very surprised. Then he coughed heavily. "I'm not helping you for nothing." Sikong Chongshan came to the bedside, looking down at Zhao Qinlin. "Don't forget you still owe me something." The room suddenly fell silent. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Qianlin angrily shouted, "I already know. You don't need to remind me. I won't default on my debt." Zhao Qianlin kept studying Sikong Chongshan with this kind of gaze. Now he couldn't see through the person in front of him, not knowing what he was planning. If his guess wasn't wrong, Sikong Chongshan should be that long-retired imperial tutor Sikong's son. Could it be that he's been playing dumb all this time? But what was his purpose in going to Yuanshan Academy? Zhao Qianlin couldn't figure these things out. Would he interfere with his plans? Sikong Chongshan suddenly turned to look at Zhao Qianlin, asking with surprise, "What are you spacing out about?" Zhao Qianlin nervously stared at him. He propped his chin with his hand, looking at the person in front of him with boredom. "Are you wondering why I'm going to Yinshan Academy?" But Sikong Chongshan said disdainfully, "Do you want to know?" Actually, Zhao Qianlin really wanted to know, but he didn't know how to ask. Zhao Qianlin lowered his head silently and expressed his doubts. "With your family background and status, you don't need to go to the academy. So it's not just about studying." At this moment, Sikong Chongshan suddenly moved closer to Zhao Qianlin. He smiled mischievously, staring at the person in front of him. "Are you very curious about my affairs?" Then Zhao Qianlin pushed Sikong Chongshan away. "Stay away from me." Due to inertia, Sikong Chongshan's body fell backward heavily. However, this didn't stop Sikong Chongshan. He laughed awkwardly, joking with Zhao Qianlin. "Your reactions are always interesting." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Qianlin threw another punch at him. This punch was much stronger than the previous one. Sikong Chongshan had no time to dodge. When they were preparing to depart, Yi ran over and anxiously asked young Master Sikong Chongshan, "Where did you go yesterday? Do you know how worried I was?" Sikong Chongshan felt somewhat embarrassed. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Oh, I forgot you were still here, Yi." Yi helplessly called out, "Young Master." Zhao Qianlin smiled, looking at the sky. "It's finally clear today. Let's set off now. We'll reach Yuanshan Academy in 2 days." Afterward, they rode on fast horses toward Yuanshan Academy. At this time, neither of them noticed they were missing one person from their group. Before they had gone far, Yi shouted from behind, "Wait for me." They then slowed down to wait for Yi. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a young man was reporting his mission. The lady revealed nothing and committed suicide. The black-bearded man slowly spoke. "Continue tracking Zhao Qianlin's whereabouts. Also, arrange for Luo Yu to take the entrance exam at Yuanshan Academy." Then, the black-bearded man instructed him further. "You must find out what General Zhao did at the academy and who's behind all this." Upon receiving the order, Luo Yu's eyes were filled with killing intent. This person seemed spine-chilling, not to be offended lightly. Soon, people on the street were shouting, "Young Master Luo Yu." People in the tea house also noticed. Apparently, Luo Yu was very popular among women in the city. Luo Yu's slight smile captivated all the women. He appeared like a refined, elegant young gentleman. Countless women followed behind him. One of them shyly asked, "I heard you're going to Yuanshan Academy?" Luo Yu nodded slightly in acknowledgement. His smile was so gentle that one glance would make people fall helplessly for him. What was he hiding? The curly-haired girl stared straight ahead, her little face turning bright red. "Is that Luo Yu down there? I must go see him." But just as she turned to go, 2 uninvited guests appeared behind her, blocking her path with their bodies. They approached with mocking gazes. "So, you're the one who hurt our brothers? You don't look like much. How will you compensate for hitting someone and running away?" Just as she tried to quietly step back, her small hand was suddenly grabbed roughly by one of the men. This made her panic inside. "What do you want?" Luo Yu, standing in the center of the crowd, suddenly looked toward the curly-haired girl's position, but his expression barely changed. The curly-haired girl thought differently, exclaiming internally how wonderful it was. If only Luo Yu could see her, he might help. But the noble young master opposite her seemed to have only given a fleeting glance, now completely ignoring her plea for help. Standing above, her heart was filled with grief, her fragile heart seemingly about to break. Is Luo Yu pretending not to see? She yanked her hand away from the man's sleazy grip. Her body swayed unsteadily from anger, thinking all men were just scoundrels. The onlookers below suddenly gasped. Rough fingers pointed upward. "Look, someone's falling from up there." Quick as lightning, someone rose on tiptoes and leaped in front of the falling girl. Ignoring the spectating crowd, he caught the curly-haired girl with steady, strong hands. A sudden breeze blew past, their hair entangling for a moment. In this ancient-styled building, the voices of the onlooking crowd fell silent. Time stood still for a moment. Then waves of praise erupted. "Young hero, What excellent martial arts! What a perfect catch! Zhao Qianlin completely ignored the cheering crowd. He looked coldly at the curly-haired girl. Don't mind their stares. Are you all right? The curly-haired girl stammered that she was fine. Her previously calm eyes suddenly became incredibly bright when they met his. Sikong Chongshan walked over excitedly, lightly patting his shoulder. Well done. As expected of Xiao Qian, Zhao Qianlin looked tenderly at the curly-haired girl. You should head home quickly. But the girl smiled at them. Let me treat you all to a meal first. Sikong Chongshan stood between them. His lips curved slightly upward, a warm glimmer passing through his cold eyes. He seemed unbothered by these requests. If one wanted to hide in the crowd, with ink-black hair cascading to the waist, bangs covering part of the face. How could Sikong Chongshan be here? The curly-haired girl carefully probed. Are you also going to Yuanshan Academy? The exam starts tomorrow. Good luck. Though this year, besides the written test, they've added a new examination. The details haven't been revealed yet. Getting into the academy won't be easy. Yuanshan Academy stood in a peaceful location, its towering city gate displaying supreme status. A stern inspector stood at the gate, determined not to miss checking any student. Everyone must have a Yuanshan Academy token. Zhao Qianlin lowered his head, barely breathing. Cold sweat beaded on his fair forehead as he slowly handed his token to the inspector. However, Sikong Chongshan seemed completely unconcerned, casually resting his arms behind his head. Looks like we've finally made it in for the exam. Luo Yu suddenly appeared before them, his deep eyes secretly sizing them up. You must be Brother Sikong. Without waiting for any response, he walked straight to Zhao Qianlin. And this must be young Master Ling Qian. Brother Sikong truly has many friends. Sikong Chongshan blocked the silent woman, his voice low and slightly threatening. Brother Luo Yu is truly impressive, finding out Xiao Qian's name so quickly. Luo Yu smiled awkwardly, gripping his fan tightly. I just happened to hear it from others. Don't misunderstand, Brother Sikong. Brother Sikong, don't misunderstand. I just didn't expect the skilled young Master Lin Qian to be so delicate. At first glance, one might mistake him for a lady. Sikong Chongshan noticed several men's gazes and easily embraced Zhao Qianlin again. Despite his slim build, he hates being called feminine. Zhao Qianlin's small hand secretly wrapped around the man's waist, pinching hard without showing it. Sikong controlled his trembling body and squeezed out a question through gritted teeth. Young master is here for the exam too? Shouldn't you hurry to the examination hall? Standing behind the man, he whispered. Who was that person just now? Sikong responded coldly, the current prime minister's second son. Luo Yu openly observed him while speaking, leaning in slightly closer. Zhao Qianlin showed no reaction, stroking his chin in thought. Unable to accept this small slight, he grinned and chuckled. What's wrong? Xiao Qian? Have you taken a liking to him? Zhao Qianlin turned back with disgust, letting out an annoyed huff. This made Sikong somewhat embarrassed. What's with that look? Ignoring this imaginative man, he quickly stood to leave. I need to go to the exam hall now. Stop bothering me. Today's first exam was just writing an essay. The poetry and martial arts his father taught since childhood would finally be useful. So he began writing furiously. Such a small test was nothing to him, though thinking of his father made him feel somewhat lost. Just then, the sound of a wooden stick hitting a head came from nearby, followed by the teacher's angry scolding. Wake up! Sikong Chongshan woke instantly, clutching his aching head. Zhao Qianlin's melancholy vanished upon seeing him. The teacher struck his head again with a wooden stick, the sound echoing throughout the hall. I can't believe you dare to sleep openly during such an important exam. He angrily waved the stick around, his messy hair standing on end. Have you finished your paper? How dare you sleep before finishing? Sikong Chongshan squinted drowsily, casually picked up the exam paper from the desk, and handed it lightly to the teacher. Of course I've finished. The teacher skeptically accepted the paper, internally somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected it to be complete and neatly written too. He put down the paper angrily, holding the wooden stick behind his back. Even if you're finished, you're not allowed to sleep. Young people these days are so arrogant. After watching the teacher leave, Zhao Qianlin whispered angrily to his companion. Are you really an idiot? How could you have finished already? Sikong wasn't bothered by the misunderstanding, scratching his itchy nape lightly. But I really have finished. He raised his hand to his mouth, warning in a low voice. This man don't provoke the teacher. Be careful, or he'll kick you out. He felt touched inside, as no one had ever cared for him like this before. So he quietly answered the woman. I understand. Sikong, afraid she hadn't heard clearly, rested his chin on his hand and repeated in an indulgent tone, I understand, silly. Zhao Qianlin heard the second sentence clearly and immediately gripped his brush tightly. With steam coming from his head, he cursed, You bastard, what did you say? However, his voice was too loud and disturbed the supervising teacher. This time he received his own warning knock on the head. No talking during the exam. You two are still chatting? You completely disrespect your elders and know nothing of proper manners. Looking at the man's cheerful smile, he suddenly realized he hadn't noticed before that having someone by his side, even just watching, could be so reassuring. Everyone exclaimed excitedly that the Yuanshan Academy written test results were posted. They eagerly gathered around the notice board. Everyone rushed to check their scores. Yi pointed and carefully checked each name, searching for his master's name. Soon, Yi squeezed out of the crowd and ran back, excitedly shouting, Young Master, great news! Both you and young Master Lin Qian are on the list. Sikong Chongshan relaxed with his arms behind his head. The questions were so simple, of course we'd pass. Zhao Qianlin sat nearby, sneering disdainfully. He reminded him of what happened during the exam, nearly getting kicked out by the teacher. Sikong Chongshan turned away guiltily. That was just an accident. Zhao Qianlin exposed him mercilessly. You're defending sleeping during the exam? Yi excitedly clenched his fists nearby. Does passing the exam mean we can enter the academy now? Sikong Chongshan broke his fantasy. There's still a second exam. Hearing this, Yi became confused. He opened his eyes wide and asked bewilderedly, A second exam? An elderly teacher slowly walked out from the academy. Students, I assume you've all seen the results board. The teacher stroked his beard. Those who didn't make it will have to try harder next time. Those who qualified, follow me to the academy grounds for the second test. The observing students were shocked to hear this. How is there a second test? Sikong Chongshan calmly accepted it. He called to Zhao Qianlin nearby, preparing to head to the grounds first. In the grounds, the scholarly students awkwardly held bows and arrows. They looked troubled. We don't know how to use these at all. The second test, it can't be archery, right? The curly-haired girl fidgeted with her bow and arrow, completely clueless about how to use it. By accident, her arrow poked Zhao Qianlin behind her. She turned around puzzled, quickly apologizing to the person she had accidentally poked. Sikong Chongshan and Zhao Qianlin immediately recognized her identity. She was the girl from the inn they had met. Their expressions froze. The next moment, the curly-haired girl quickly clasped her hands and begged them, Please don't tell anyone. I worked so hard to pass the first test. Please don't expose me. Zhao Qianlin raised an eyebrow. I don't mind, I won't expose you, but thought to himself, how could I possibly tell anyone there's someone dressed as a man in the academy? The curly-haired girl quickly turned around to plead. Sikong Chongshan still had tears in his eyes, looking pitiful. Sikong Chongshan answered with a grin. I won't tell anyone there's a woman who snuck in. Zhao Qianlin assured her, I'll help keep an eye on him. He gritted his teeth angrily. I'll leak the secret. Young Master Lin worries too much. With that brute strength and fierce look, no one would believe you're a woman anyway. Zhao Qianlin was so irritated his teeth itched, and he grabbed him directly. He pounded his head, angrily cursing, You little brat, do you want to die? He clenched his teeth, stretched out his arm, and tightly choked Sikong Chongshan's neck. Since you said that, let me show you what brute strength really is. Sikong Chongshan was choking, but still didn't stop talking. He coughed violently and defiantly retorted, This strength really proves my point. The curly-haired girl watched their horseplay with great amusement, her eyes crinkled with laughter. Suddenly, someone shouted, Examinees, the second round of tests will begin shortly. Everyone turned toward the voice. A man holding a lottery box introduced himself. I'm the chief examiner for the second test. You may call me Mr. Sunday. Let me explain the rules. Mr. Sun smiled, eyes narrowing. This test is different from before. You'll be paired in groups of 2, setting up positions in the back mountain. Hitting your opponent counts as a win. The examinees panicked upon hearing this. Why test like this? Isn't it too dangerous? Will only one person from each pair advance? Mr. Sun showed them the arrows. Don't worry, the arrowheads are wrapped in gauze with dye powder. Each person gets 3 arrows. You have 3 hours. Those who draw the same numbers will be paired. After a successful hit, teachers will verify. If neither hits their opponent, both lose. Zhao Qianlin was shocked to hear this. Half the people will be eliminated. This test seems too cruel. Soon, the examinees began drawing their numbers from the lottery box. Sikong Chongshan held the red silk, watching Zhao Qianlin tie the band on his arm. "I'm number 7. The curly-haired girl asked curiously from behind. "What number did you get, young Master Lin?" Zhao Qianlin carefully looked at the number on his arm. "I'm 9. Who's the other 9? Just as he wondered, he suddenly spotted the other number 9 in the crowd. Zhao Qianlin froze. He stared wide-eyed at that person. Number 9 was Luo Yu. Luo Yu quickly noticed them. He walked over with his fan, smiling. "What a pity my opponent isn't Sikong. How fierce." He pulled up one corner of his mouth, speaking pretentiously. "I heard Brother Sikong is skilled with the sword. I wanted to witness it myself, but it seems I won't have the chance." Unexpectedly, Sikong Chongshan directly said he couldn't. "But you should be careful of little Qian's swordsmanship." Luo Yu lightly waved his fan. "You have such confidence in young Master Lin?" Sikong Chongshan smiled proudly and boasted, "He'll definitely win." Zhao Qianlin looked at him in shock. "Where does your confidence come from?" Hearing this, Luo Yu wasn't angry. Instead, he directly proposed, "Since Brother Sikong is so confident, why don't we make a bet?" Sikong Chongshan gladly accepted. Luo Yu set the terms. "If I win, you'll stand under the waterfall in the back mountain for one night. If I lose, I'll do the same." Zhao Qianlin watched their exchange, thinking they'd gone mad. He shouted in disbelief, "Are you both crazy?" The two started arguing as soon as they met. Sikong Chongshan taunted, "Don't cry when you lose." Luo Yu didn't back down. "Save your big talk until you actually get into the academy." As Zhao Qianlin was carrying his quiver and preparing to head to the competition site, the curly-haired girl suddenly reached out and tugged at his sleeve. He seriously warned, "Be careful of Luo Yu. Last time when I was being harassed, he saw it but didn't care at all. Such hypocrites are the most dangerous." Zhao Qianlin was surprised to hear this, not expecting he had been there at the time. The curly-haired girl turned and ran towards the back mountain, not forgetting to wave and remind him to be careful. Zhao Qianlin's cheeks flushed, thinking how cute that was. Zhao Qianlin turned around and called to Sikong Chongshan, "I'm going in too. Let's split up." But Sikong Chongshan grabbed his hand, pulling him back to his side, speaking with some urgency. He was unusually serious. "Be careful. I don't want to enter the academy alone." Zhao Qianlin pulled his hand back, awkwardly changing the subject. "I'll be careful. You need to find your matching number 2. He sighed helplessly, walking towards the back mountain, not forgetting to say goodbye to Sikong Chongshan. "Let's split up then. I'm going first." When Zhao Qianlin reached the back mountain, he finally let out a relieved breath. He stared at his palm in a daze. "That scared me to death just now." He couldn't help but recall what had just happened, his face instantly turning red with embarrassment. Zhao Qianlin slapped both hands against his face, trying to clear his mind. "Must stay calm. The test is about to begin." Soon he heard someone strike the gong. The second test officially began. The rules were to hit their matching numbered opponent within 3 hours. Hit the opponent with the same number. Zhao Qianlin thought seriously. If you win, the other person can't enter the academy, eliminating half the people directly. What is this academy thinking? Just then, an arrow suddenly shot from behind, and he quickly dodged, eyes widening in shock. He wondered anxiously if it was Luo Yu. Another arrow came flying, and Zhao Qianlin quickly dodged, swiftly hiding behind a tree. Zhao Qianlin frowned, breathing heavily, thinking with a grim expression whether Luo Yu was ahead. He called out from behind the tree, "He's already shot 2 arrows. There should be one more. Just need to dodge the 3rd arrow, and then I can counterattack. Must find his position." Sure enough, Zhao Qianlin guessed correctly. The 3rd arrow came quickly, and she swiftly ducked to avoid it. She quickly and nimbly drew an arrow from her back, thinking, "Now's the chance." But before Zhao Qianlin could fully draw the arrow, a 4th arrow came flying. He stared blankly at the incoming arrow. It was completely unexpected. At that moment, Sikong Chongshan suddenly rushed out. He grabbed Zhao Qianlin, using his back to block the fiercely shot arrow. His shoulder was instantly soaked with red dye. Seeing this, Zhao Qianlin anxiously called out to him. Luo Yu, who had been hiding in the forest, finally appeared. Brother Sikong indeed followed. "Your timing is quite impeccable." Luo Yu stood there fearlessly, pretending to smile. "How lucky today. Caught a big fish." Zhao Qianlin worriedly called out to Sikong Chongshan. "What about your arm?" He replied calmly, "I'm fine. What use is hitting me?" Sikong Chongshan frowned deeply. "I'm not his opponent. I just didn't expect to run into you while tracking my own opponent. But Luo Yu was even more delighted. No use? Rest assured, you're already eliminated, Brother Siko. Suddenly, a man appeared behind. He excitedly shouted, "That was amazing! As expected of Luo Yu." The man kept praising with a smile. "Thanks for helping me hit my opponent." Luo Yu smiled even more happily. "And thank you for giving me all your arrows." As Sikong Chongshan slowly took out an arrow from his quiver, he realized he had fallen into their trap. These two were working together. So he aimed his bow at Luo Yu and quickly shot an arrow. Luo Yu quickly dodged, the arrow missing and grazing past his shoulder. He arrogantly shouted, "It's useless." But Sikong Chongshan's goal wasn't to hit him. While Luo Yu was dodging the arrow, he shouted to Zhao Qinlin, "Now's our chance. Let's go." The two instantly vanished, leaving Luo Yu standing alone. Sikong Chongshan examined the cave. "Let's wait in here for a while. We probably won't be found. Luo Yu is troublesome. We need to think of a plan." They walked in, with Sikong Chongshan chattering nonstop. "Can't see anything. There won't be insects or bats. Or something, right? It's kind of scary." But Zhao Qinlin kept his head down, lost in thought. Losing means not entering the academy. He recalled Sikong Chongshan's earlier warning. "Be careful. I don't want to enter the academy alone." Unable to accept this reality, Zhao Qinlin reached out to remove his outer garment. Sikong Chongshan panicked immediately. "What are you doing?" But what he didn't expect was that the red dye had already seeped into Chongshan's inner garment. He reached out, trembling as he touched it. "How could this be?" Zhao Qinlin kept rubbing at it. "What kind of dye is this? How do we remove it?" Sikong Chongshan calmly replied, "It's definitely hard to remove. The academy must have considered this. The dye must be the type that can't be washed off." Zhao Qinlin lowered his head sadly, burying it in his shoulder, his voice full of guilt and remorse. "I'm sorry." He tightly gripped Chongshan's back clothes, sadly burying his head there. Tears gradually soaked the clothes as he kept apologizing. Sikong Chongshan held his forehead worriedly. Traveled for days to reach the academy. Got involved in someone's trouble along the way. He gently removed his hand and closed his eyes. "Now, because of someone, I've suffered a miserable defeat. It's really frustrating." Sikong Chongshan chuckled softly, reaching out to comfort Zhao Qinlin by patting his head. "Seeing as this little girl is crying for me," he ruffled Zhao Qinlin's hair. "I'll reluctantly forgive her. I'm really so magnanimous." Zhao Qinlin wiped his tears with his sleeve, couldn't help but curse. "Idiot." Sikong Chongshan was speechless. "You should be touched at this moment, yet you're cursing me." He lowered his head sadly, voice becoming somewhat stuttered, awkwardly asking, "Why did you come to help me?" Sikong Chongshan thought for a moment. "I just thought you'd regret it if you couldn't enter the academy. Don't you still have enemies to find?" He put his hands on his hips and turned away. "Luo Yu is a cunning and stubborn fellow. I've seen him a few times when my father was still in court." Zhao Qinlin listened carefully. "Luo Yu excels in archery, but has a fatal weakness." He quickly noticed the issue. "Just now, your archery was also very good, and your reactions were sharp. Why can't you fight?" Sikong Chongshan hadn't expected him to be so perceptive, noticing this point. He could only scratch his head awkwardly, not knowing how to explain. Just then, footsteps suddenly came from outside the cave. Sikong Chongshan moved quickly, covering his mouth with his hand. "Don't make a sound." Zhao Qinlin stared at him blankly. Sikong Chongshan's reactions were truly sharp. Sikong Chongshan vigilantly looked outside. "Who could it be?" "You hide inside first. I'm already out anyway. It doesn't matter if I get hit again." The two were standing unusually close. Zhao Qinlin's face flushed red involuntarily, his heart beating rapidly. In the dead of night, a dark shadow walked aimlessly. The person was surrounded by killing intent and carried a sword on their back. At this moment, Sikong Chongshan pressed him against a tree to avoid being discovered, then gestured for him to stay quiet. Zhao Qinlin's face was already red with embarrassment. Now the footsteps were getting closer. This made Sikong Chongshan's eyes tighten. His gaze was filled with killing intent as he stared ahead menacingly. Sikong Chongshan listened to the increasingly clear footsteps, gripping his bow tightly. He was fully prepared to fight to the death with that person. However, this situation made both of them very tense. Sikong Chongshan unconsciously held Zhao Qinlin tighter, sweet atmosphere mixing with the tension. When the footsteps were just a meter away, Sikong Chongshan's face instantly darkened. He intended to go out for a final battle. Suddenly, he raised his bow and stepped out from behind the tree. Sikong Chongshan's deep voice shouted, "Stop! Don't move!" He looked very imposing at that moment. The person he aimed at screamed in fright. It turned out to be a girl walking towards them, also dressed as a man. Seeing this, both of them stood frozen, unsure what to do. Zhao Qianlin also peeked out from behind the tree. When Zhao Qianlin came out, Zhonwan surprisingly pointed at them both. "How is it you two?" They were somewhat speechless looking at Zhonwan. The frightened Zhonwan closed her eyes tightly, raising her hand to grip the strap on her chest. "You scared me to death. It's so dark here. I thought I'd encountered a ghost." Seeing this, Sikong Chongshan sighed helplessly. He spoke expressionlessly, "Didn't expect to meet you here again." Then Zhou Yuan noticed Sikong Chongshan's shoulder was stained red with a large patch. Zhou Yuan asked concernedly, "Brother Sikong, the die on you, you were hit?" Hearing these words, Sikong Chongshan laughed awkwardly. "I was careless." Zhao Qianlin, beside him, watched them with a gloomy mood. But unexpectedly, Zhonwan said, "That's great, as long as it wasn't Master Lin's sword. How did you lose so quickly?" Sikong Chongshan disagreed with Zhonwan. Patting his chest, he looked at them with bright eyes. "We've met several times, but I haven't introduced myself. I'm Zhonwan." Then he added that Zhonwan was his real name. As soon as he finished speaking, the two before him were extremely surprised by his words. "Master Zhou, why did you disguise yourself to come to the academy?" When Zhonwan revealed her identity, Zhao Qianlin took the opportunity to ask. She answered the question, "Because my parents only value my younger brother, nurturing him in every way. It's been like this since childhood, so I came here out of spite." However, everyone prepared for this exam for a long time, full of aspirations for the academy, to eliminate others by our own hands. After speaking, she lowered her head silently. Hearing the name Luo Yu, Zhao Qianlin began to think. Judging by his swordsmanship, he should be above my level. If it were something else, I might have a chance. The more Zhao Qianlin thought about it, the more nervous he became. His eyes held an unstoppable force as he kept thinking of ways to outmaneuver Luo Yu. Later, Zhao Qianlin turned to ask Sikong Chongshan, "What was that unfinished method you mentioned about defeating Luo Yu?" Sikong Chongshan quickly nodded. "If he's moving, we can't hit him, so we just need to make him stay still. That opponent probably already reported to the examiner. Only Luo Yu remains." At this moment, Sikong Chongshan had a sudden inspiration. "Don't worry, but we'll need something from Little Qian." Hearing this, Zhao Qianlin was bewildered. "What thing? Why don't I know about it myself?" Sikong Chongshan revealed a mischievous smile, his inner demon emerging. "This time I'll make Luo Yu taste fear." Zhonwan and Zhao Qianlin both suddenly had an ominous feeling, as if the surrounding air had grown colder, making their skin crawl. In the back mountain of Yuanshan Academy, someone walked aimlessly. The mountain was now covered in trees, with only sparse bits of light. Zhao Qianlin held his bow, sighing at how vast the back mountain truly was. Since the exam began, he hadn't encountered many people. As he walked, he pondered how achieving victory in Yuanshan Academy's test wasn't an easy task. Then Zhao Qianlin quietly lowered his head and spoke in a low voice. "I want to help too. Take me along." Zhonwan shouted, "Master Lin." Suddenly, Zhao Qianlin turned his head away. "But haven't you not found your opponent yet? What about your task? Won't there not be enough time?" Zhonwan's face turned red as she scratched her head embarrassedly. "I've searched for so long, but haven't seen my opponent. This back mountain is too big. I plan to follow you all." Soon, they set up traps in the sunlit area outside, waiting for Luo Yu. With his skills, he would find his way there before long. At this moment, an arrow shot toward Zhao Qianlin. After hearing Zhonwan's voice, Zhao Qianlin dodged straight away. The arrow that came towards him. Luo Yu's shooting posture hadn't yet lowered, and he was quite surprised at the scene before him. He couldn't believe that arrow had missed. Even more surprising was that there were people in the bushes. The three of them had formed an encirclement. No one dared to make the first move. Zhonwan crouched in the bushes, keeping watch for Zhao Qianlin. It was because of him that Zhao Qianlin had just dodged Luo Yu's sword. Zhao Qianlin turned his head and said thank you to the person in the bushes. His smile was genuine at that moment, without any pretense. However, seeing this scene, Luo Yu reflected that he knew someone would help him. But surprisingly, it wasn't Sikong Chongshan who helped him. Then, Sikong Chongshan must be waiting for his chance somewhere. Just as he finished this thought, Sikong Chongshan appeared behind Luo Yu. Luo Yu slightly tilted his body and dodged the arrow shot by Sikong Chongshan. It grazed past his ear. It was a heart-stopping moment. But this scene was unexpected even for Sikong Chongshan. His arrow had been so easily dodged. While he was stunned, suddenly a hand grabbed his collar. At that instant, Sikong Chongshan came back to his senses. But it was too late. Luo Yu pinned him against a tree. Sikong Chongshan's back slammed hard against it. He groaned in pain, trying to endure it. Luo Yu kept mocking him for having no martial arts skills. Did you think I would fall for your trap so easily? Quickly, Zhao Qianlin thrust his sword directly at Luo Yu. He saved Sikong Chongshan at the critical moment. This was what people called a beauty saving the hero. However, Luo Yu could only clutch his painful arm. Even so, his blood wouldn't stop flowing. His face grew darker, and the pain from his arm spread throughout his body, making him break out in a cold sweat. He was now in a dilemma. Finally, Luo Yu had a blade against his neck. This scene shocked him. Now Luo Yu was in the most difficult situation. The flexible sword on Zhao Qianlin was the final part of the plan. I know you're upset, but I advise you to stay still now. Sikong Chongshan rubbed his numb neck and smiled at Zhao Qianlin. His eyes were full of deep affection and love. Zhonwan, watching this scene, became starry-eyed. Master Lin is so handsome. Her eyes sparkled, full of admiration. His bound hands kept struggling. He not only despised their actions, but also found their methods utterly despicable. But at this moment, Luo Yu had no strength to fight back. He was firmly tied to the tree, struggling desperately, but unable to break free. Was there no choice but to accept fate? Truly unexpected that Zhao Qianlin had a flexible weapon hidden on him beforehand. They completely ignored Luo Yu, catching him in one move. However, Luo Yu kept mocking Sikong Chongshan. Is this all you're capable of? Winning through such methods is no skill at all. Sikong Chongshan replied with crossed arms. You seem to misunderstand. I never needed to win against you. As long as little Qin wins, that's enough. No one expected Sikong Chongshan to use the band from his arm. To gag his mouth, Luo Yu kept cursing Sikong Chongshan in his heart. Someone reminded Zhao Qianling to hurry up, as time was almost up. Just as they finished speaking, Zhao Qianlin picked up his bow, an arrow. But people beside him kept urging him to hurry, saying there was almost no time left. Yet Zhao Qianlin's movements were extremely slow. At this moment, Zhao Qianlin knocked the arrow, but it remained on the bow without being released. What was he hesitating about? The two beside him couldn't stand it anymore and kept urging him to hurry. But he still hadn't released the arrow. He recalled the previous experiences and their words, discovering something amiss. He felt something wasn't quite right. Could it be that the exam rules were wrong? While he was lost in thought, urgent questions about little Qian kept coming from behind. Suddenly, Zhao Qianling shouted excitedly, I understand. Chongshan, we can't win this exam. As soon as he finished speaking, silence fell around them. Hearing this, Sikong Chongshan and Zhonwan were very surprised. What does this mean? How can we enter the academy without winning? Even Luo Yu, tied to the tree, was confused by Zhao Qianlin's words. But Zhao Qianlin wanted to explain his thoughts. Just then, a huge sound came from the sky. It was fireworks released by Yuanshan Academy. The four of them looked up at the sound. Before Zhao Qianlin could finish explaining his view, the exam had ended. Zhonwan looked at the sky in surprise. Time had passed so quickly, in the blink of an eye. The exam had finally come to an end. All examinees were called to gather at the academy. Under this command, everyone headed towards the academy, discussing among themselves. Listening to their discussions, Zhao Qianlin confirmed his thoughts. Indeed, something was wrong with the exam. It broke the rules they had originally assumed. The original rule was supposed to eliminate half the people in one-on-one matches. However, in reality, only 20% won, eliminating 80% of people. Master Sun held his pipe, grinning widely with joy. Then he slowly spoke. Thank you all for your hard work. The results will be announced shortly. Someone in the crowd shouted enthusiastically, Master Sun. He raised his hand in a cheering gesture. I won against my opponent. Please guide me in the future. However, Master Sun stared at him coldly, his lips curling into a wicked smile. He kept praising him. This young man is truly remarkable. That a modest person continued saying, Master, you're too kind. This scene was witnessed by Zhao Qianlin and Sikong Chongshan from behind. Zhao Qianlin watched the person in front with speechlessness. His eyes were serious. He couldn't understand where such confidence came from, such self-praise. Master Sun propped up his pipe, the smile never leaving his face. face. If that's the case, then please leave the academy immediately. These words greatly surprised Zhao Qianlin. That person's outcome was winning the match, but losing the chance to enter the academy. These words struck Xikong Chongshan and Zhou Wan like a bolt from the blue. No one expected such a twist in the exam rules. Nearby, Luo Yu silently lowered his head. He had only aimed for first place now felt ashamed. That person became very panicked, never expecting such an outcome. People behind them all started discussing. Quickly, Master Sun blew out a smoke ring. He asked expressionlessly, "When did I ever say winning would guarantee entry to the academy? Stepping on others to rise up, the academy doesn't accept such students. In a one-on-one situation between fellow students, you could still deliver fatal blows. Those who didn't win, whether through kindness or luck, we stop you. Don't think everything's fine once you enter the academy. If there are violations of academy rules, you will be expelled. But before that, congratulations. Everyone listen carefully. Tomorrow, bring all your luggage to register at the academy. Remember to bring your tuition fees." After saying this, Master Sun sighed and smiled contentedly. These words excited Zhou Wan, who couldn't believe what she heard. Meanwhile, Luo Yu remained expressionless. At the same time, Xikong Chongshan smiled upon hearing this, having achieved his purpose. Master Sun, with his pipe, smiled happily. He shouted excitedly, "Welcome to Yuanshan Academy." At this moment, Zhao Qianlin also wore a satisfied smile. Finally able to enter Yuanshan Academy to seek the truth. To avenge his parents. My friend lay in a pool of blood, with large bloodstains gushing from his chest. I carefully tried to help him up, but my fingers wouldn't stop trembling. But in the end, I couldn't lift him up. I could only watch helplessly as his life slipped away. That grief in my heart made me wish for death. That day saw the biggest rainstorm. As if completely numb to it, I very slowly extended my blood-stained hand, letting the bloody water flow down around my arm. Suddenly, I opened my eyes, realizing it was a nightmare. Messy hair rested on my forehead, but the emotional pain couldn't be shaken off. Zhao Qianlin rubbed his throbbing temples, large drops of sweat falling down his cheeks. He knew the dream all too well, because it was something that actually happened. At this moment, the teacher appeared in his mind. The image of him with his pipe suddenly appeared, constantly reminding him not to be late for class tomorrow. It seemed he needed to get up quickly. In the second test, 11 people were eliminated. Only our few succeeded in entering. He hastily put on his clothes and fell into thought. Since the principal was away, Master Sun was in charge of all academy matters. The next moment, he irritably tugged at his mouth corner, his beautiful eyebrows slightly furrowed. He raised his arms while complaining about the wide and overly long sleeves. Now that he had successfully entered the academy, what should his next step be? Why hadn't the imperial court investigated the massacre of his family at all? Why did his father come to Yuanshan Academy at the end? What were those men in black trying to find out? Could it be that his father had hidden something in the academy? He needed to quickly figure out the connection between the two. Just as Zhao Qianlin opened his door, a teasing voice reached his ears. He had to suppress the questions in his heart and calmly looked up. Unexpectedly, two uninvited guests stood at his door, speaking frivolously. They approached like close friends, saying, "Brother Lin, let's go to class together." Then, without waiting for Qinli's response, they directly grabbed his wrist. A hero appeared behind him, his slender fingers pulling back his arm. Deep bright eyes revealed a hint of dominance. Xikong Chongshan warned the two in a threatening tone, "Xiao Qian and I have something to handle. You go to the classroom first." The two classmates' faces immediately darkened, then waved dismissively. "Well, don't be late." Chongshan took the woman's delicate hand, casually reminding her no thanks were needed. However, Zhao Qianlin became angry, shouting loudly, "Let go of me!" He ruthlessly yanked his hand away, appearing as if he didn't need any help at all. Chongshan secretly observed his expression, then quietly said, "Do you think you can really get along with them? Can you remain peaceful like this? If I hadn't appeared in time, how would you refuse? By telling them you're a woman and not to touch you." Zhao Qianlin's anger only increased. His high ponytail swayed as he turned his head. "Xikong Chongshan, can you lower your voice?" He patted the woman's smooth head, whispering affectionately in her ear, "I won't tell anyone. This is a secret between just us two." It was her first time being patted on the head by a man. Her small face turned red, and the previous anger seemed to have vanished. However, she knew what she needed to do. She quickly stepped back. "Stop teasing me and joking about my identity. Zhao Qinlin awkwardly shouted at him, "I'll repay the favor I owe you. I don't need your mocking help." After venting, he turned to leave, his hands tightly clenched inside his wide sleeves. "You'd better stay away from me in the future. I'll bring you misfortune." Sikong Chongshan stood motionless, his mind blank with confusion. What was wrong with him today? Zhao Qinlin's lonely figure walked forward, coincidentally meeting Zhou Nuan, who was coming for morning class. Zhou Nuan rolled up his sleeves and greeted him. Unexpectedly, Xiao Qian just responded coldly with a and silently walked away again. This made him feel extremely uncomfortable. He quickly found Sikong Chongshan, his curly hair expressing great confusion. "What's wrong with Xiao Qian today? Did you upset her?" The surrounding classmates were also quietly discussing. "That Lin Qian seems strange. I heard during the exam, she caused Lu Yu to get injured by a sword. This Lin Qian acts so dismissive towards others. It's really irritating. Probably just someone who uses underhanded methods." Zhao Qinlin sat nearby, ignoring everything. There were more important things to do. He picked up a textbook and started reading seriously. It rained. After studying until evening, he reluctantly prepared to return for rest. When he reached his room, Lin Qian was already standing outside. Zhao Qinlin's appearance was extremely beautiful, truly like a bright pearl. Between his eyebrows was a scholarly air, and in his hand he held a bottle of medicine. Luo Yu stared at him intently. "What are you doing outside my room so late?" But he didn't say anything and just tossed him a medicine bottle. His hands moved faster than his mouth to catch it. His eyebrows immediately furrowed tightly. He wondered what this small red bottle in his hand could be. Meanwhile, on the other side, the teacher held his pipe, puffing smoke, casually asking how Master was doing. Sikong Chongshan leaned back leisurely. "My father? That old man is doing fine. After all these years, you're still the same. But, old son, what do you want me to ask? Why have we come here so late? Is it about the true purpose of the Academy's second test? Is it really just for the students' harmony, not to recruit hunters? This test seems more like it's designed to identify those with good martial skills." Sikong Chongshan took a sip of tea and casually guessed. Could it be to identify potentially dangerous individuals, or perhaps assassins? Master Sun was surprised by his meticulous thinking. The pipe in his hand lost its appeal. "Guess all you want, I won't tell you," he said while carefully examining his master's precious son. Yet he couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, only you saw that this game couldn't be won. Young Sikong held his teacup, quite confused. "What are you saying? I'm not the only one who saw that victory was impossible." Luo Yu looked at the medicine bottle in his hand, slightly raising his eyebrows. "You stayed up late just to give me this?" Zhao Qinlin explained, "It's medicine for wounds. I used it when I was injured before. Though it's small, it's very effective." After speaking, he left without looking back. As he passed by, he left only a faint goodbye. "If there's nothing else, I'll go first." On the other side, Master Sun was clearly unsettled. His shock made his beard grow out. "Not just you saw it? Then who else did?" Sikong Chongshan blocked him again, then watched amusedly, arms crossed. "I won't tell you. They're just an interesting character." Luo Yu clutched the medicine bottle tightly in his palm. A feeling of gratitude suddenly welled up. He was originally just a puppet, never having received others' care. Early in the morning, Zhao Qinlin was sighing. "Since entering the academy, I've often encountered troubles. However, the most headache-inducing is Chongshan." Sikong Chongshan was already waiting outside the door, one arm leaning against the doorframe. Only after Zhao Qinlin came out did he lazily greet him. His smooth operation startled Xiao Qian. "Why are you here so early?" This persistent fellow looked down and said, "Surprise, little Qian. I changed rooms. From now on, I'll be living next door to you." Zhao Qinlin's face darkened to the point of speechlessness. His delicate face twitched slightly, as if freedom was slipping away. He walked silently toward the classroom, his small hand clenched into a fist from excessive disappointment. Chongshan showed extreme incomprehension. "What kind of reaction is this?" He quickened his pace slightly, wanted to get away from this person quickly. After all, someone as troubled as him wasn't worthy of making friends. Just then, Luo Yu came before them, directly interrupting their argument. "Good morning, Lin. Sikong, you're here too." They glared at each other. Caught in the middle, he was speechless. These two, neither was easy to deal with. He suddenly moved to Zhao Qinlin's side. His large hand emerged from his sleeve. In his palm was yesterday's medicine. Zhao Qinlin waved to both without looking sideways, anxiously wanting to escape. "If there's nothing else, I'll go first." The one who answered was actually Luo Yu. that popular gentleman. In contrast, the gentleman beside him stood with arms crossed, thoroughly displeased. He lowered his eyes thoughtfully, then quietly reminded this playboy, "You haven't forgotten our bet from that time, have you?" Luo Yu glared back defiantly, but still maintained his gentlemanly manner. "Of course I remember, but there wasn't a clear winner, was there?" As they talked, they planned to go their separate ways. Chongshan tilted his head and stated the plan. "If that's the case, let's meet at the waterfall behind the mountain." Young Master Luo followed his footsteps and couldn't help but boast to those around him, "I'll gladly accompany you." Zhao Qianlin held his rice bowl, looking for a suitable spot. The surroundings were bustling with people everywhere. Standing in the center of the crowd, he was quickly noticed by someone with ill intentions. That person deliberately walked to his side and violently bumped into him with their shoulder. He was holding freshly served hot soup and caught off guard. It flew out of his hands after the bump. There was a crisp bang as the hot wooden bowl fell to the ground. Zhao Qianlin was instantly splashed all over. His robes were still steaming slightly. However, the person who deliberately bumped him showed no sincerity, angrily apologizing loudly. He looked disdainfully at the dirty Qianlin, his tone full of mockery. "Oh, it's you. Don't you know to be careful when carrying things?" Little Qianlin suddenly lowered his head. He had already realized this person did it intentionally, but this gesture of lowering his head only excited the man more. He didn't respond and quickly turned to leave the dining hall, but the person persisted from behind. "At least answer me." The man grew increasingly angry, as if he was the one who had been bumped into, and rushed forward. He suddenly grabbed little Qian's shoulder, shouting loudly, "Don't think about running away." Among the onlookers, someone suddenly felt sympathetic. They approached the man and quietly reminded him, "Master Sun is here. You should control yourself." Before little Qian could resist, the large hand gripping him suddenly released and, dissatisfied, pushed him down hard. The man, still not satisfied, kept complaining, "He looks like such a sissy, looking neither male nor female. He deserves to be bullied by us." Zhao Qianlin looked down at his dirty robes. His long eyelashes concealed his expression. "It's fine. None of this matters to me." He stood up with a desolate figure, walking step by step among the crowd, hearing their quiet mockery, feeling only irony in his heart. Zhao Qianlin suppressed his sadness, finding a secluded corner to adjust his mood. Just then, a dog's bark brought him back to his senses. The puppy seemed to sense the human's low spirits and waddled over on its short legs. He looked down at the puppy, lost in thought, as if falling back into beautiful memories of the past. Only the sadness in his eyes dissipated somewhat. Little Qian picked up the adorable puppy, his cheeks flushed, and began to examine it carefully. "Where did you come from, little dog? Are you a stray?" The soft touch of this puppy reminded him of the image of his friend holding a dog. They had once sworn to be best friends forever. Little Qian carefully held the dog with one hand while frantically wiping tears with the other. The pain suppressed in his heart all poured out at this moment. The well-behaved puppy in his arms suddenly started whimpering affectionately, as if trying to comfort this human. Indeed, the puppy struggled a bit, its front paws reaching for his face, its small tongue licking him soothingly. Zhao Qianlin lifted the puppy in his arms, his hoarse voice slowly speaking. "Are you trying to comfort me? But you shouldn't get too close to me. Just like that young Master Sikong I know. Getting close to me only brings terrible things. But I will never let any harm come to you." Master Sun stood at the podium, gently tapping the desk, to relieve everyone's studying stress. He then placed both hands on the lectern. "The Academy has made a temporary decision. The day after tomorrow, we'll take this year's students to Gushan Village for a one-day outdoor class." Some students became excited upon hearing this. One happily shouted, "Are we going to Gushan Village for an outing?" Zhao Qianlin propped his chin with his hand, naturally hearing the teacher's announcement. He thought to himself quietly, "So we're having class outdoors." Master Sun routinely asked, "I assume you have no objections?" But a student below raised his hand and argued, "Studying isn't that hard." His brows instantly furrowed deeply, his eyes flashing with fierce light. Master Sun grimaced in displeasure, pointing at that student. Immediately, two people grabbed him and dragged him straight out of the classroom. The students still sitting in the classroom heard that student's screams. They all kept their mouths shut, sitting stiffly in their seats. Master Sun smiled and slapped the desk. "It seems everyone has no objections to this activity." Then he started laughing heartily to himself. Zhao Qianlin was speechless, having a bad feeling. It felt like things wouldn't go smoothly. Master Sun suddenly noticed two empty desks. "Where are your classmates Sikong Chongshan and Luo Yu? Why aren't they in class?" The The curly-haired girl awkwardly wiped her cold sweat. She nervously stuttered to Master Sun that they probably wouldn't be back for a while. At that moment, Sikong Chongshan was wearing ceremonial clothes, completely soaked. Just admit defeat in front of me, and I'll let you go immediately. Luoyu wasn't doing any better. His teeth were chattering, his whole body shaking, yet he still stubbornly retorted, "You must be about to give up too, right?" The two were standing under a waterfall in cold water. Their bodies were shivering uncontrollably, crying out so cold, yet still standing strong. The curly-haired girl explained awkwardly. They said they wanted to see who could bathe in cold water longer. Master Sun was speechless. Are they sick? 2 days later, the academy's excursion began. The students were all moaning, their faces showing great suffering. "It's so far." Master Sun helplessly scratched his head. "Young people these days don't just study, you need to train your bodies too." When he said this, the students instantly became angry, looking resentfully at him lying comfortably in the cart. "How dare you say that while lying down yourself?" Zhao Qianlin looked around and asked the curly-haired girl beside him curiously, "Did Chongshan not come?" The curly-haired girl's face went blank, complaining that he and Luoyu were at the back. The two had identical postures, constantly sneezing, their whole bodies shaking. They had stayed in the cold water for so long that they caught colds. Master Sun asked old Lu in front, "Are we almost there?" Old Lu quickly replied, Almost. It's just ahead." Old Lu kept praising Master Sun. "You're such good people, helping us out greatly." The students were confused hearing this. After walking for who knows how long, they finally reached Gushin village. The students excitedly shouted, "Finally reached the village entrance." Villagers were already waiting there, happily discussing. "Those children have finally arrived." An elderly woman approached. "It's great that you came to help. The village orchard always has problems due to lack of hands." Master Sun smiled and replied, "We'll definitely have enough people this time." The villagers' faces were flushed with happiness, sincerely thanking them. "These children are such good people. Thank you all." The students' faces went blank. They now understood everything. The so-called outdoor class was just manual labor. One student couldn't bear it anymore and rushed forward, angrily grabbing Master Sun's collar. "I knew you were deliberately setting us up. What stress relief?" He pointed angrily at the orchard. "Such a huge orchard. How long will it take us to pick everything?" Master Sun helplessly waved his hand. "You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But if you don't work, you won't get any food." The student instantly burst into tears. "You're bullying us." The two standing behind sighed, their faces full of resignation. Zhao Qianlin picked an orange from the tree and tossed it into his basket behind him, his face worried. Lost in his thoughts, he couldn't help but close his eyes and frown, sighing helplessly. "Mother would never imagine I'd be here picking oranges." While Zhao Qianlin was distracted, he casually glanced back and saw Sikong Chongshan not far behind. Suddenly, someone called out to Zhao Qianlin. He hurriedly walked over there, covering up by saying loudly, "This area is done. I'll go check the other side." But before he could walk far, a hand suddenly reached out from behind, firmly grabbing his basket. Sikong Chongshan anxiously shouted, "Stop right there." Sikong Chongshan's expression was helpless. He asked Zhao Qianlin confusedly, "What are you thinking? Why are you avoiding me?" Zhao Qianlin refused to turn around. Sikong Chongshan sadly looked at his back. Or is it that, as someone who could have been useful? He lowered his eyes, his expression dimming. "Now that I'm of no use to you at all, even maintaining a friendship seems unnecessary." Zhao Qianlin slightly turned his head, coldly telling him, "I've said before, I have no friends." Sikong Chongshan refused to believe it, holding on to a glimmer of hope. Couldn't help but probe, "Do you really find me that annoying?" Zhao Qianlin walked forward without looking back, his very silhouette radiating coldness. "Yes, very annoying." Sikong Chongshan was completely stunned, deeply hurt by these words. He lifted his foot wanting to follow, but didn't know in what capacity to make him stay. Zhao Qianlin finally stopped, watching him slowly walk away. Sikong Chongshan sadly closed his eyes, holding his aching head. His face looked unwell. Zhao Qianlin cut an orange from the tree, suddenly stopping his movement, absently wondering what expression that guy was making now. The red-haired student suddenly raised both hands in despair, crying out, "I'm exhausted, so hungry." His companion handed him an orange, comforting him that he could eat it. The red-haired student darkly knocked away the orange. "I want real food." A villager nearby noticed his situation, holding a food box with a loving smile. "Child, we've made some food. Eat something first, don't stay hungry." The elderly woman opened the food box, revealing exquisite and fragrant snacks inside. They looked very tempting, making one's mouth water. The students were instantly moved to tears, their eyes shining as they looked at the big box of snacks. The elderly woman looked at them with sympathy. It must be hard doing so much work, right? The red-haired student quickly shook his head. Not hard at all. His companion looked at him with contempt. Zhao Qianlin hid not far from them, silently watching his classmates playing and joking around, not going over to eat snacks. Suddenly, a hand reached out beside him. On a clean handkerchief lay delicious snacks. The elderly woman smiled lovingly, thoughtfully offering it to him, looking at him with concern. "Child, eat up." Zhao Qianlin quickly accepted the snacks, said thank you, and started eating the fragrant treats. The elderly woman stood beside him, watching kindly. The elderly woman gently reached out her hand, softly patting Zhao Qianlin's head, saying, "I should thank you all. Eat slowly, don't choke." Suddenly, the elderly woman withdrew her hand, uncomfortably rubbing her eyes and sighing. Zhao Qianlin looked at her puzzled. "What's wrong with your eyes?" The elderly woman wiped away her tears. "It's an old problem. When you get old, your eyes don't work well anymore. They keep tearing up. The village is remote, so getting medical treatment isn't easy." Zhao Qianlin stared blankly at the elderly woman, hearing her sigh as if remembering something. That's when tears come easily. The students took shelter under the pavilion, watching the heavy rain outside. They helplessly complained about the sudden rain, but were relieved that they had finished most of the work. Sikong Chongshan wasn't anxious like the others. Instead, he sat in a chair, dejectedly resting his chin on his hand. Silently, Zhonwan noticed his depressed mood and asked puzzled, "What's wrong?" Sikong Chongshan replied listlessly, "Because the weather's bad." After that, his face darkened as he propped his chin, falling silent in his low mood. Zhonwan looked at him speechlessly, really not understanding what was wrong with him. Teacher Sun began counting heads. Looking at the crowd of students, he shouted, "Is everyone here?" Zhonwan looked around and noticed Zhao Qianlin was missing. She quickly raised her hand to report, "Mr. Sun, Lin Qian seems to be missing." Hearing this, Mr. Sun immediately asked the students below, "Has anyone seen where he went?" Someone in the crowd shouted, "I saw him go up to Goom Mountain." Mr. Sun's face immediately darkened upon hearing this. Why would he go to Goo Mountain? Why run up the mountain in this heavy rain? The red-haired student impatiently picked his ear, criticizing with closed eyes. Weirdos are just weird. Better if he doesn't come back. He's just trouble. Sikong Chongshan put his arm on that student's shoulder, warning darkly in his ear, "Shut up. You don't understand anything. Don't talk nonsense." The student turned back to look at Sikong Chongshan with a troubled expression, cold sweat running down his cheeks as he shivered in fear. Mr. Sun immediately noticed something wrong with Sikong Chongshan and anxiously shouted at his retreating figure, "Where are you going?" Sikong Chongshan grabbed a bamboo hat, put it on, and rushed into the heavy rain. Without looking back, he shouted, "To find someone!" Zhao Qianlin walked through the pouring rain on Goo Mountain, muttering, "Buplurum, Horsdale Sapochnikovia." He was completely soaked, breathing out cold air as he shivered. He carefully examined the herbs in his hand. Only goldenrod left to find. Zhao Qianlin carefully tucked the herbs against his chest, thinking to himself how the rain was getting heavier. Suddenly, he stared into the distance. There it was, the goldenrod he'd been searching for. The final herb was finally found, but the goldenrod was growing right on the edge of a rock. Zhao Qianlin carefully reached out, trembling as he stretched to pick the herb. Just as he was about to grasp it, his foot slipped, and he suddenly started falling toward the bottom of the mountain. The situation was extremely dangerous. At that moment, Sikong Chongshan finally arrived. He grabbed Zhao Qianlin around the waist, preventing him from falling further. Zhao Qianlin steadied himself. He looked back at the person behind him in panic, surprised to see it was Chongshan. He quickly stepped back to create distance. "Why are you here?" Sikong Chongshan was somewhat angry. "I should be asking you that. What are you doing on Goo Mountain?" Zhao Qianlin awkwardly turned away, glancing at him from the corner of his eye. "I'm finding medicine for the village grandmother. Don't worry about me. I'm almost done." Sikong Chongshan grabbed his hand, his tone unusually serious as he scolded. "That's enough. Stop searching. Come back with me." Zhao Qianlin reflexively argued back, shouting angrily, "Why is it always you? Haven't I made myself clear enough?" He frowned deeply, continuously pushing Sikong Chongshan away. "Just take care of yourself. Do you understand me?" Do you know what I want to do? Zhao Qianlin angrily shook off his hand, continuously rejecting his approach. You're just an outsider. Don't meddle in others' affairs. He suddenly lost his balance, his shoes slipping on the wet rocks. He was about to fall off the rocks. Sikong Chongshan's face changed dramatically, anxiously trying to warn him not to step back anymore. But it was too late. Zhao Qianlin fell backwards suddenly. He was about to fall straight down. Sikong Chongshan reached out anxiously, cold sweat dripping from his temples in fear. He frowned and shouted in terror. Are you an idiot? Zhao Qianlin felt his body becoming weightless, continuously falling. He couldn't even make a sound. He just stared blankly, thinking, even if I die, no one would truly care. From that great fire that day, everything changed. Zhao Qianlin's back hit the grass hard, and he thought silently. I'm so tired. I just want to disappear. Remembering the past, children were kicking and punching by, arrogantly shouting, kill him. But he just protected the dog in his arms. 11-year-old Zhao Qianlin, carrying his herb basket, happened to pass by and saw this scene. He shouted seriously, stop it right now. The group of children showed no fear. They laughed and taunted. Look, another busybody. Zhao Qianlin fought back against these provocateurs until they were thoroughly convinced. Looking at their bruised faces, he casually dusted off his palms. He looked at Bai and asked concernedly, are you okay? Bai looked at him with shining eyes. You're amazing. You handled them so quickly. Bai introduced himself and curiously asked Zhao Qianlin his name. After this, we became friends. Zhao Qianlin stuttered for a moment, nervous and shy. He opened his big eyes. With rosy cheeks, he told Bai, I'm Lin Qian. Looking at the yellow dog in Bai's arms, Zhao Qianlin excitedly asked, is this your dog? Hearing this question, Bai silently shook his head. Bai denied Zhao Qianlin's question and explained, those boys were bullying him earlier. I stepped in to stop them, and he's been following me since. Zhao Qianlin bent down, eyes sparkling as he looked at the yellow dog in Bai's arms. Meanwhile, Bai never took his eyes off Zhao Qianlin. Walking together, Bai excitedly told Zhao Qianlin, you're completely different from those boys. Hearing this, Zhao Qianlin suddenly moved closer. Soon, Bai noticed the basket on Zhao Qianlin's back. He curiously asked, what are you carrying? Then, Zhao Qianlin answered Bai, oh, these are herbs I just gathered from the mountain. Bai held the yellow dog, listening attentively. Hearing Zhao Qianlin's words, Bai was amazed. You actually go up the mountain to gather herbs? Can you treat illnesses? You're incredible. At this moment, Zhao Qianlin held the basket straps and said plainly, my mother knows how. I've only learned the basics. I'm not fully trained yet. However, hearing this, Bai's eyes lit up. He excitedly said, you're amazing. I'm so envious. As they chatted, Bai turned to look at Zhao Qianlin. Remember to teach me, and Kung Fu too. Zhao Qianlin readily agreed. Zhao Qianlin's mother darkened her face and questioned him. Who told you to fight? Didn't I tell you not to cause trouble? Why won't you just listen? Suddenly, Zhao Qianlin knelt down grievously. Mother, I didn't. They hit me first. I only fought back. His mother wouldn't listen to his explanation. With a wronged expression, he frantically cried out, I was just helping a girl. He's my friend. Why can't I help him? But his mother thought Zhao Qianlin was meddling. They argued as Zhao Qianlin insisted, I wasn't meddling by helping others. What's wrong with that? After being scolded by his mother, Zhao Qianlin stood outside the courtyard as punishment. His mother wanted him to think it over, and Zhao Qianlin wasn't allowed dinner that night. After standing for a while, Zhao Qianlin's stomach started growling. Just then, he heard a familiar voice from outside. Looking closely, he saw Bai perched on his house's wall calling him. Bai asked caringly, did your mother scold you? Zhao Qianlin nodded. Bai looked at him and handed him 2 steamed buns. Hugging himself, he curiously asked, Zhao Qian, did you just move here? I've never seen you before. Zhao Qianlin nodded while eating the bun. Suddenly, with bright eyes, he asked Zhao Qianlin, you live with your mother, but where's your father? Zhao Qianlin looked at the bun in his hand and quietly said, he passed away. Hearing this, Bai's eyes went blank, as if recalling something. Then Zhao Qianlin suddenly turned to Bai and asked caringly, those bullies, do they always bully you? Hearing this, Bai awkwardly scratched his head. Because I look weak, they often bully me. Then Bai smiled and said, It's just bad luck that I ran into them and got bullied. Zhao Qianlin looked at him with concern, his eyes full of sympathy and an uncontrollable desire to protect. At this moment, he took out a jade pendant and handed it to the person beside him. Here, take this. Let it protect you from now on. Bai's eyes lit up looking at the jade pendant, curiously asking what it was. Then, Zhao Qianlin seriously told Bai, my father made it. It's said to bring safety, so I'll give it to you. I hope you can stay safe. He opened his mouth in shock and said to Zhao Qianlin, such an important thing made by your father, I can't accept it. You should keep it. At this time, he smiled, his eyes curving like crescents from happiness. Holding the bun, he casually said, consider it thanks for tonight's dinner. Hearing these words, Bai's eyes widened instantly. I'll treasure it well. Thank you, Xiaoqian. Zhao Qianlin and Bai sat on the wall, watching the night sky together. Bai turned and asked him, Xiaoqian, will you stay here forever? The wind ruffled Bai's hair and the jade pendant around his neck. I feel like you might suddenly leave one day. Bai hugged the yellow dog, looking at Zhao Qianlin with downcast eyes. Zhao Qianlin smiled happily. Even if I move, I'll say goodbye to you first. He carried his basket, preparing to gather herbs in the mountains. Seeing him with the basket, Bai ran over and asked, are you going to gather herbs today? Hearing Bai's words, Zhao Qianlin turned around. They looked up at the sky. Dark clouds were gathering. It looks like it's going to rain soon, but Zhao Qianlin thought it was fine. I'll be back soon. But Bai was very worried. Be careful then. This kind of weather is the worst. Just looking at it puts me in a bad mood. Hearing this, Zhao Qianlin wanted to explain, actually, I want to tell you something. But the words stayed at the tip of his tongue, never spoken. Suddenly, Bai's mother called out, Bai, come help me. Bai turned and replied, I know, mother. Just as Bai was about to leave, he remembered Zhao Qianlin had something to say. Xiaoqian, what were you going to say? Zhao Qianlin waved his hand. You go ahead first. After walking a distance, he turned back again. Tell me when you return. I'm going now. Zhao Qianlin held onto his basket's handle, his eyes shining brightly as he looked at the person before him. Then, Zhao Qianlin turned and walked outside, while Bai walked inside. That's how they parted. The sky was overcast, and raindrops made pitter-patter sounds on the ground. Zhao Qianlin walked in the heavy rain, looking at the strange sky. He couldn't help but sigh. It's only noon. Why is it so dark? Suddenly, a woman riding a fast horse shouted to the person ahead, Qianlin. Zhao Qianlin turned around and saw her riding towards him. Seeing this, Zhao Qianlin was surprised. Mother, why are you here? His mother, braving the heavy rain, looked panicked. Gripping the reins tightly, they've found where we live. Quick, come with me. Zhao Qianlin was shocked. Is it those men in black? How did they find us? Everything happened too fast. He had no choice but to believe it. His mother explained helplessly, those bloodthirsty people can do anything. I just didn't expect it to be so soon. We must travel in the rain. Hearing this, Zhao Qianlin's face grew worried. He found himself in a dilemma, unsure how to follow his heart. When he thought of Bai's gentle and radiant smile and their promise, would he have to break it? Then Zhao Qianlin dropped his basket and ran through the heavy rain, just to go home and make sure Bai was safe. Meanwhile, Zhao Qianlin's mother watched her child's retreating figure and desperately shouted from horseback, Xiaoqian, where are you going? Come back! She ran in the rain, nearly exhausted now, but her destination wasn't here. The distance felt so far, but Zhao Qianlin never stopped running home. Her steps were determined yet frantic, focused only on getting home quickly. At this moment, it was unclear whether the water on her face was rain or tears, but her eyes remained determined. Everything happened too fast. Now Zhao Qianlin lowered her head slightly, tears rolling down her cheeks. She kept worrying about her friend Bai. Soon, Zhao Qianlin arrived at the doorstep. She paused there for a moment, hoping nothing had happened to Bai. Otherwise, she couldn't face him. Then Zhao Qianlin raised her hand and tremblingly pushed open the gate. Under her force, the gate slowly opened a crack. Inside the house, Bai turned to look at the door, holding a small yellow dog in his arms. He excitedly called out towards the doorway, Xiaoqian, you're finally back. As the door's gap widened, Zhao Qianlin came to her senses. She realized all of this was just her imagination. She stood there devastated, looking at the scene inside. What greeted her eyes were two cold corpses. Next to Bai was that little yellow dog, still wagging its tail waiting for him. Bai's body was covered in blood. He died with his eyes wide open. This is all my fault. He died with unrest. At that moment, Zhao Qianlin fell to her knees, staring at the blood-stained floor. Zhao Qianlin wept bitterly, as if her soul had left her body. Outside, the heavy rain continued. However, Zhao Qianlin's heart felt as cold as the weather. Kneeling in the pool of blood, Zhao Qianlin held Bai's body, looking at his blood-covered, unrecognizable form. She fell into an endless abyss of despair. She choked out Bai's name, but her words fell into silence. There was no response from Bai at all. In the pool of blood, Zhao Qianlin found the jade pendant in Bai's hand. This pendant was what she had given to Bai not long ago. Then, tears streamed down her face uncontrollably, mixing with the rain. No matter how sad she was, she couldn't save Bai. She remembered Bai's previous questions, but now she was the one suffering. Bai had suddenly left this world. The more Zhao Qianlin thought, the more sorrowful she became. She cried in the pouring rain, releasing her inner loneliness. Bai's sudden appearance that day was like a miracle to me, like a dream, happy but unreal. I always felt you might disappear someday, but this day came too soon. Zhao Qianlin wasn't prepared at all when she received the news. The news of her good friend's death. Actually, that day Zhao Qianlin wanted to say that even though they didn't know when they'd say goodbye, Bai was also a miracle to her. Her mother comforted her, saying, "Don't get attached to others. For you, it will only be unnecessary feelings. Letting go is the best protection for them." In Bai's eyes, Xiao Qian was so gentle. Someone will surely become your friend. But this only added to the loneliness. In the end, one remains alone. Zhao Qianling fell into an abyss within these thoughts. It was all her memories. As her thoughts returned, Zhao Qianling fell off the cliff. Xikong Zhongshan, without hesitation, jumped down after her. His eyes were full of worry and concern, determined to save Zhao Qianling. Now Zhao Qianling was no longer unconscious, but those painful memories flooded her mind during her blackout. When Zhao Qianling woke up, she found herself on Xikong Zhongshan's back. After hearing her voice, Xikong Zhongshan calmly said, "You're awake." Being carried on Xikong Zhongshan's back, Zhao Qianling's cheeks unconsciously turned red. She looked at Zhongshan in surprise. "Why did you come to save me?" However, Xikong Zhongshan spoke frankly. "The place you fell wasn't very high. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered saving your life. I've also gathered the herbs." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhao Qianling's expression immediately turned sour. "Actually, you didn't need to do this for me. It's not worth it. You're clearly not a cold person, yet you insist on acting like you want to keep everyone at a distance." Xikong Zhongshan said these words with concern. But unexpectedly, Zhao Qianlin quietly spoke from behind. "People who stay with me might face danger." These words surprised him. He helplessly joked with Zhao Qianlin. "You still have time to worry about others?" This left Zhao Qianlin speechless. Think about it. You're the one who gets into danger, thinking you have some skills and taking unnecessary risks. I know you must have some difficulties you don't want to talk about. So, Xikong Zhongshan carried Zhao Qianlin on his back as he walked forward. For a long time, neither of them broke the silence. Suddenly, Zhao Qianlin listened as he assured her, "I value my life very much." Her tears began to flow, looking completely pitiful. "If there's danger, I'll be the first to run, so you don't need to worry about me," Xikong Zhongshan said calmly, slightly lowering his head. However, in Xikong Zhongshan's eyes, Zhao Qianlin was someone who always attracted trouble and seemed to annoy people, always cold towards others. But Xikong Zhongshan knew that Zhao Qianlin was a gentle person. "I don't know what you've been through that made you become like this, but I like you. Zhonwan likes you too. Everyone will gradually get to know the real you. Now I just hope you won't disappoint yourself." These words touched Zhao Qianlin's heart. No one had ever cared for her like this before, and she never had anyone close to her. If you're afraid of what might happen later, at least now, there are people who believe in you and will stay with you. Right now, you're not alone. At least, I'll stay by your side in the end. After Xikong Zhongshan finished speaking, Zhao Qianlin buried her head in his shoulder and began to cry. Zhonwan, with her neat ponytail, stood nearby waiting expectantly. Fortunately, Xiao Qian and others returned in time, which made her slightly relieved. Xiao Qian and Zhongshan walked in looking disheveled. Upon hearing this, he awkwardly shook his head, while Zhongshan muttered that at least they survived. Zhonwan anxiously ran over, her small clenched hands hidden in her wide sleeves. "I was so worried about you. I'm glad you're okay." She opened her mouth to say more, when the grandmother standing behind her suddenly spoke softly. "We thought something had happened to you." Zhao Qianlin, who had never received such care from others, was stunned by these unexpected words and momentarily forgot what to do. She suddenly held up the plants in her hands, ignoring her wet clothes, and quickly walked to the grandmother. "Grandma, this is for you." The kind-faced elderly woman showed some surprise. Her aged eyes lowered slightly. Though puzzled by the plant, she still reached out to take it. Zhao Qianlin, being very attentive, quickly noticed grandmother's confused expression. So she thoughtfully explained, "This is medicine that can treat your eyes. You just need to remember how to prepare it. Boil it with water in a small pot every morning and take it warm twice a day, morning and evening. If you forget, you can ask me again." Ignoring her wet hair ends, her gentle eyes quietly brightened. "This is for internal use, but there's also an external method. Grandma, you can choose either method. You can also boil the herbs in water and use the steam to wash your eyes, which is also effective." The elderly woman suddenly raised her aged arm, her weathered hand stroking the top of her head. Then she kindly thanked Xiao Qian. "Our Xiao Qian is such a good child. Grandma will remember you well." Just after she said these words, tears suddenly welled up in her eyes. The elderly woman always wore a kind smile. Her eyes were full of gentleness and warmth. "Kind-hearted child, you must take good care of yourself too." After many years, today Xiao Qian once again felt the warmth of family. She nodded frantically at Grandma, her fair face flushed with 2 spots of red. Meanwhile, the beautiful Zhou Nuan finally welcomed her long-awaited victory. Joy surged through her heart like a tide, and tears of excitement welled up in her eyes. Those tears danced on her cheeks like stars twinkling in the night sky. "Xiao Qian is really such a good person. She's so cool in my heart." On the other side, the man who had previously picked on her forcefully pulled her over. His uncontrollable emotions suddenly burst forth. "So, you're actually a really good person?" At this moment, Zhongyuan suddenly spoke up, pointing her small finger at Xikong Zhongshan behind them. "Xiao Qian, you don't know, but when it was pouring rain, Zhongshan ran out like a rabbit." She immediately started tattling nonstop. At that time, Luo Yu also wanted to rush out, but was stopped by the teacher and others. Luo Yu suddenly reached out his demonic hand towards her, anxiously trying to stop her. However, he knew his limits and only grabbed her hair. Xikong Zhongshan walked over unhappily, arms crossed, looking very cold. "Luo Yu, why is your face so red? And you were running outside, what?" Zhao Qianlin, caught between the two, her flushed little face showed some confusion. Around her, there was still a chorus of noisy chatter. So after a moment, she seemed to be infected by this atmosphere, and her face suddenly bloomed with a brilliant smile. Mr. Sun suddenly appeared before the group. His serious voice slowly rang out. "You all think everything's fine just because you're back? Going up the mountain by yourselves violates school rules." He revealed an unfathomable expression, his lips curling into an evil smile. Unknown to them, behind him, several people were holding rainwater ready to strike. At his command, the students holding rainwater suddenly began splashing it randomly at the same time. Zhongshan was immediately drenched. Zhongyuan excitedly ran out of the crowd, her curly hair blocking some of the water. While running away, she didn't forget to warn her precious friend, Xiao Qian, run. This injured gentleman couldn't escape his fate. Several more buckets of water came rushing at him, seemingly regardless of his weak resistance. Zhao Qianlin rarely showed such a genuine smile. "I feel very fortunate to have met these people. Whenever I think back to this day, even when I'm alone, I don't feel lonely." The next day came quickly. During early morning class, Zhongshan was yawning dejectedly. He held his textbook while fighting back his overwhelming drowsiness. But it was ultimately useless. He complained quietly on the side. "The morning classes are too early. Who would like such boring courses?" A small bubble appeared on Zhou Nuan's nose tip as she forced a smile. "I understand that feeling. After all, I want to go back to bed too." Xikong Zhongshan suddenly decided to act on his words. He forced his tired eyes open and was about to dash back to discuss history with his bed. Just as he was secretly turning to leave, a strong hand reached out and grabbed his escaping body. Mr. Sun's angry pigtail stood up and blue veins popped out on his grabbing hand. "You little brat, are you trying to skip class again?" Ignoring any resistance, he directly dragged him to the office. What awaited Zhongshan would be a spicy handwritten punishment. Two students suddenly walked behind Xiao Qian, whispering continuously. "Have you heard? This academy seems to have a huge secret. I heard the teachers talking about it. They say there's a secret hidden in the principal's office. No wonder the principal hasn't returned. Yet teachers guard the principal's office every day." As the saying goes, the speaker may be casual, but the listener takes it to heart. This secret happened to be overheard by Xiao Qian. This undoubtedly made her curious. Could this be related to her father? Just as she was about to think deeper, Zhongyuan suddenly interrupted. Xiao Qian, what are you thinking about? We're going to be late for morning class. She coldly followed her friend's pace, but her eyes unconsciously looked back. It seemed necessary to investigate thoroughly tonight. Sure enough, after nightfall, Xiao Qian nimbly put on a black mask. Two people were patrolling the front door of the principal's office. Take the second-floor window at the back. All right, she moved nimbly to the rooftop. Her black outfit perfectly blended into the darkness. Then she lightened her steps, moving stealthily. Next, she quickly drew out a sharp dagger. With a thud, she cut through the tightly closed window. Zhao Qianlin quickly slipped inside, her small hand gently closing the window. Her fluid series of movements was truly impressive. She carefully searched with light steps, determined to find anything unusual. However, there were only ordinary books here. Where was the secret they talked about? She irritably snapped the book shut, her delicate fingertips wiping dust off the cover. She had hoped to find some clues. Just then, she suddenly heard a rustling sound. Her face, hidden behind the mask, showed a moment of surprise. She hadn't expected someone else to be here. The footsteps grew closer. She hurriedly hid behind a tall bookshelf, but her curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to peek out to see who it was. What happened next was even more bewildering. The person opposite was none other than our familiar Luo Yu, seemingly searching for some secret mechanism. Clearly, this wasn't the right time to follow. The principal will eventually be noticed. I should head back first. Seems like I won't find the secret. Just as she quietly left, the principal's patrol guards heard the commotion. Upon seeing the open window, they immediately began cursing under their breath. Regarding the serious situation inside, Xiao Qian claimed complete ignorance, as she had already leaped to the roof, planning to return to her room to change clothes. Arriving at her room's door, questions frantically multiplied in her mind. Why would Luo Yu go to the principal's office? Was he also looking for that secret? Xiao Qian found the situation increasingly puzzling. The second floor of the principal's office just had ordinary bookshelves. Despite thorough exploration, there was nothing. Could there be a secret room? She was so lost in thought that someone suddenly covered her mouth from behind. Her heart suddenly pounded violently, her deep pupils contracting sharply. Then she was quickly knocked down, her back hitting a table, making her cry out in pain. Her hands were firmly restrained by the man. The person holding her wrists turned out to be Sikong Zhongshan, who attended classes with her daily. When he saw Xiao Qian, his refined face showed traces of surprise. Maintaining this position, they began an in-depth discussion. Zhongshan expressed his complete confusion about why she was here. Xiao Qian's face blushed as she opened her mouth wide. Her previously struggling body calmed down. The one who caught me is actually Zhongshan? What's going on? She suddenly jumped up, her blushing face demanding loudly. Zhongshan, why are you here? The man amusingly retorted, this is my room, after all. Miss Xiao Qian felt extremely embarrassed. Her feet could have dug a mansion beneath her. Perhaps it was too late to see clearly. She must have gone to the wrong room. So she stiffly turned around, walking robotically to the door. Then that apologetic voice rang out. Well, I'll head back now, goodbye. Sikong Zhongshan wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. He directly blocked the woman who was about to leave. You think you can easily leave after entering my room late at night? My dear Qian Qian, not sleeping late at night, wearing night clothes. Where did you go? You should give me a reasonable explanation. Zhao Qianlin had to explain in detail. Zhongshan crossed his arms, listening quietly. But when hearing about the principal's matter, he was clearly puzzled. She rubbed her burning earlobes, then nodded very obediently. But she dared not meet the man's gaze directly. There might be clues about enemies or something. Although I didn't find any clues, I discovered something else. Unexpectedly, Luo Yu also snuck into the principal's office. Sikong Zhongshan exclaimed in surprise, his magnetic voice lingering in her ear. You actually saw Luo Yu? Why would he go there? Xiao Qian stood dumbfounded, letting the man pinch her cheeks. I just saw Luo Yu, that's all. Is it something serious? He roughly shook her small face, his movements not gentle at all. Did that Luo Yu do anything to you? Zhao Qinglin pulled away from the man's large hands. Such intimate contact made her blush. What could Luo Yu do to me? He didn't even notice I was there. Inside, his gaze was deeply drawn, as if controlled by an invisible force, until his heart raced faster. His breathing became increasingly gentle. Xiao Qian felt uncomfortable under his stare, so she broke free from his blocking body and again stiffly walked out of the room. Just as she stepped out of the door, Zhongshan suddenly pulled her back. He said he had more to say, softly asking if she could wait. But Xiao Qian's body was already stiff, and his pull made her sway. She put her small hand on her forehead, using her arm to hide her reddened cheeks, then awkwardly spoke in a small voice. Couldn't you have said everything at once? Zhongshan was mesmerized, as if enchanted by the woman before him. His gaze couldn't leave, his heartbeat couldn't calm, his breathing couldn't ease. He grabbed her hand, his warm palm tightly gripping her fingers, as if transferring all his strength to her. His gaze was like the deep night sky, unfathomable. Yet within that gaze lay hidden a deep and tender affection for her. Zhongshan suddenly leaned forward, staring at her unblinkingly. In that moment, both their breathing became irregular. As he moved closer, his cool breath reached her nose. Xiao Qian immediately shut her mouth tight, eyes tightly closed, not daring to meet his gaze. Zhao Qinlin shut her eyes tight, face red, heart beating violently. Xikong Zhongshan kept his eyes slightly open, continuously closing the distance between them. Suddenly, Xikong Zhongshan jerked his head up, forcefully bumping her forehead. Zhao Qinlin was struck hard and cried out in pain. Zhao Qinlin's forehead instantly turned red. She quickly raised her hand to rub the injured spot, frowning with dissatisfaction. "What are you doing, C-?" Kong Zhongshan suddenly became uncomfortable. He reached out to rub his neck, just reminding you to be careful of the rain. Zhao Qinlin frowned even more, unable to understand his nonsensical words. Her large eyes were filled with confusion. Xikong Zhongshan even started pushing her out, pushing Zhao Qinlin towards the door. "All right, you can go back now if there's nothing else." Then Xikong Zhongshan heavily closed the door. The door shut instantly. Zhao Qinlin stood alone outside, bewildered in the wind. Zhao Qinlin belatedly realized her heart was beating abnormally fast. With reddened cheeks, she thought, was he going to kiss me just now? Inside the room, Xikong Zhongshan was very troubled. His ears were already red. He irritably messed up his hair and grumbled in displeasure. The next morning, many students gathered in front of a board, discussing. Someone curiously asked, "What are you looking at? What's this competition about?" The plaque detailed that the principal's secret manual was hidden somewhere in the academy. Whoever finds it gets to keep it. The students became excited hearing this. "What manual? I heard it's the academy's secret. Is it a treasure map? Let's go look for it." Zhao Qinlin suddenly turned to look at someone beside her. He was there too. That guy would probably search for it too. It was Luo Yu, seriously reading the text on the plaque. He hadn't noticed that Zhao Qinlin had spotted him. Zhao Qinlin squeezed out of the crowd, wondering why yesterday it was kept secret, but today the principal's secret was announced to the whole academy. What exactly was the academy planning? As she walked forward, she saw that familiar figure. Zhao Qinlin anxiously called out Zhongshan. As Xikong Zhongshan turned around, Zhao Qinlin hurriedly asked, "Did you see what was posted there? Are you going to look for it?" She suddenly felt uncomfortable and brushed the hair by her ear, not daring to look directly at Zhongshan. She thought awkwardly, "Why do I feel so nervous?" Xikong Zhongshan also looked away embarrassedly. "Let's try looking for it. I guess many students will participate out of curiosity." He casually reminded Zhao Qinlin, "Since you all went to the principal's office last night, they've made it public to search for the manual together." Zhao Qinlin's thoughts had already drifted far away. She stared blankly at Xikong Zhongshan, lost in thought, while Xikong Zhongshan continued analyzing. What could be the academy's purpose? Zhao Qinlin suddenly raised her hand, wanting to brush away a fallen leaf. But before she could touch it, Xikong Zhongshan suddenly jerked back reflexively. They both froze in place. The atmosphere became awkward. Zhao Qinlin's hand remained suspended in the air as she stammered. "There was a leaf in your hair." Xikong Zhongshan lowered his head unconsciously, not daring to look at her, and casually brushed off the leaf. Zhao Qinlin stared at him blankly, wondering in confusion. Why does he seem so strange today? Xikong Zhongshan uncomfortably rubbed his neck, turned around to leave. "Nothing else. I'll go first. See you." Then he waved his hand and left. Zhao Qianlin stood there dumbfounded, watching his actions. Zhao Qianlin clenched her fists in displeasure, frowning at Xikong Zhongshan's back. What's suddenly wrong? Why is he avoiding me? Her eyes suddenly turned fierce, glaring at his back, as if to burn a hole through it. She thought incredulously, he's disgusted by me? How annoying! Zhao Qianlin angrily strode after him, grinding her teeth and cursing. That brat! Meanwhile, Xikong Zhongshan found a corridor and sat down, lost in thought, his head low as scenes kept flashing through his mind. Of what had just happened, he frustratedly ran his fingers through his hair, shouting with nowhere to vent. With an awkward expression, he cursed himself. Have I gone mad? Xikong Zhongshan leaned against the pillar behind him, sighing continuously in distress. Why am I hiding? I look like I'm sick. He crossed his legs, thinking confusedly. How could I possibly like him? That person who looks just like a man. Xikong Zhongshan's mind flashed to their image, quickly contradicting his own thoughts. Though they look good in women's clothes, they're cute in men's clothes too. He couldn't help but recall what happened last night. His brows hadn't relaxed once as he questioned himself. I actually wanted to kiss him. Xikong Zhongshan frustratedly raised his arm, constantly messing up his hair, trying to clear his head. Unknown background, always causing trouble, sometimes male, sometimes female. Then he turned his head away. How could I possibly like him? It must be a misunderstanding. I'm just interested in their secrets, that's all. Xikong Zhongshan walked through the corridor with his arms crossed. While students were excitedly searching for the academy's secret, he wasn't in the mood. Coincidentally, Zhao Qianlin was also searching nearby. She looked around carefully, searching. I've already searched this area. Suddenly, he turned his head casually, and their eyes met unexpectedly. Xikong Zhongshan froze on the spot. Neither had anticipated this. Zhao Qianlin instantly reacted, raising her eyebrows in displeasure, glaring fiercely at Xikong Zhongshan. Xikong Zhongshan was startled but glared back just as displeased, demanding, "What's with that look?" Suddenly Zhou Nuan appeared behind them, waving to Zhao Qianlin from the corridor, shouting, "Come over here quickly." Just as Xikong Zhongshan wanted to say something, Zhao Qianlin completely ignored him, walking straight towards Zhou Nuan to look. Zhao Qianlin called out to check if there was anything up there, completely ignoring him. Xikong Zhongshan frowned and sighed, his temple throbbing with anger. He could only helplessly hold his forehead. Zhao Qianlin nimbly jumped onto the beam and began searching carefully. She called out in confusion, "There's nothing up here." Hearing this, Zhou Nuan quickly looked up and shouted, "Then come down. Let's look somewhere else." Zhao Qianlin gracefully leaped down from the beam, landing lightly on the ground. Suddenly, the red-haired man approached and wrapped an arm around Zhao Qianlin's neck in a friendly manner, saying, "Brother Lin, you've got such good skills. Teach me sometime. Your martial arts are so good. Teach me next time." Not far away, Xikong Zhongshan immediately frowned in displeasure at this scene. His expression turned ugly. Zhao Qianlin thought awkwardly, "Finally, this guy isn't giving me trouble. Better be friendly." So she matched his tone and replied, "Sure, sure." Just then, Xikong Zhongshan suddenly appeared behind them, grabbing Zhao Qianlin's small braid. Pulling her away, he said, "Come with me." Xikong Zhongshan was furious. "Finally learned to use your jumping skills to make friends? Not bad. Quite an improvement." Zhao Qianlin was completely confused by his behavior and snapped back. "Did you take the wrong medicine?" Xikong Zhongshan, blinded by anger, retorted, "You even have time to teach others these things." Unable to control his anger, he berated Zhao Qianlin. "Have you forgotten what you're supposed to do? Do you really think you're a man?" Zhao Qianlin's face finally darkened, thoroughly annoyed by him. She also became inexplicably irritated. She angrily shouted at Xikong Zhongshan, "I know what I'm doing, and what I do is none of your business." Zhao Qianlin's face turned red with anger as she wanted to leave. Before leaving, she shouted, "Excuse me." Xikong Zhongshan didn't follow. He frustratedly ran his fingers through his hair, shouting angrily. Finally, unable to control his anger, he couldn't help but kick a nearby tree trunk, venting his frustration. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a carrier pigeon flew over. Someone gently raised their arm to catch it. It was Luoyu. Expressionless, he carefully unfolded the rolled secret message, lowering his eyes to examine its contents carefully. He took the message. He held it over a lit candle to destroy all evidence. It had written, "Find clues quickly. Eliminate all who interfere." Meanwhile, At the academy's back mountain, Zhao Qianlin was crouching on a thick tree trunk, frowning as she carefully examined the leaves in her hand. Nothing in the trees, either. Zhao Qianlin was growing impatient. She gritted her teeth, thinking angrily about how long it would take to find it. Then he pushed off with his heel, using the tree trunk to nimbly jump down to the ground. Unexpectedly, just as he landed, he was startled to find himself face to face with Luo Yu. Both of their expressions showed surprise. Zhao Qianlin screamed in fright, stepping backward hastily. But he lost his footing and was about to fall. Seeing this, Luo Yu quickly extended his arm and swiftly caught him by the waist. He lowered his head and seriously reminded Zhao Qianlin to be careful. After Zhao Qianlin steadied himself, they quickly distanced themselves from each other. He thanked Luo Yu and curiously asked, "Are you also looking for that secret manual?" Luo Yu maintained his pretentious expression, smiling as he explained, seeing everyone searching. "Just joining in the fun." Zhao Qianlin slightly frowned, not believing his lies at all. "Just joining in? Is that why you sneaked into the principal's place at night?" Memories flooded back, remembering Xikong Zhongshan's previous warning. Be careful of Luo Yu. Zhao Qianlin suddenly hit his own head, trying to knock out thoughts of that person. He had thought of that annoying person again. Luo Yu was startled by this behavior, nervously leaning forward to ask, "Are you okay?" Zhao Qianlin waved dismissively. "Don't mind me." Suddenly, a black and white spotted puppy emerged from the bushes, barking excitedly. Zhao Qianlin happily picked up the tail-wagging puppy, joyfully shouting, "Tang Yuan, why are you here?" Luo Yu tilted his head curiously and asked, "Is it yours?" He casually reached out to pet the puppy's fluffy head, saying pleasantly, "He's not mine. Seems to be a stray." Tang Yuan softly nuzzled his cheek, making Zhao Qianlin laugh heartily. "Give him some food, and he'll become very friendly." Luo Yu stared at him somewhat dazedly, his cheeks slightly reddening, thinking to himself, "He's so easily satisfied." The Fuyue Inn was bustling with activity, filled with the endless chatter of scholars and guests. 3 people sat around a table. One scholar asked, "Brother Liu, you didn't get into the academy." The man gritted his teeth. "I must teach him a lesson." He angrily slammed the wine pot on the table, recalling that day's events. He said he'd cooperate with me, but then he got selected himself. He complained endlessly. That effeminate one, they're all in it together. His friend patted his shoulder consolingly. "Well, he is the Prime Minister's son after all." The man gripped his teacup tightly, grinding his teeth. "So what if he's the Prime Minister's son? Why should that kid get in while I get scolded by my old man?" A man with a scar on his lip suddenly gave a cold laugh, pulling his mouth into a sinister smile, asking Luo Yu contemptuously, "Is that so?" The scarred man smirked, chuckling darkly. "Don't worry. Let me help you vent this anger." The puppy stuck out its tiny tongue, panting continuously, wagging its tail happily at them, its little paws obediently sitting on the ground. Zhao Qianlin was immediately charmed by its cuteness, extending his fair hand. He lifted the puppy high, the fluffy sensation softening his heart. Then he looked brightly at Luo Yu. "Do you want to hold him?" Luo Yu immediately gave a polite smile, pretending to be composed as he shook his head. "I think I'll pass." Little Qianqian showed complete incomprehension, confusion flowing from his eyes. "Why are you standing so far away?" Luo Yu explained with his hands behind his back. "It's cooler here." He stroked the puppy in his arms, feeling its warm breath on the back of his hand. "He's so soft and cuddly. He doesn't even have a name yet." Luo Yu stood at a safe distance, coldly watching him play with the puppy. "Why are you here? Aren't you going to look for the manual?" After getting Xiao Qian's confirmation, he blinked in surprise. "If you're still looking for the manual, why are you so leisurely?" Zhao Qianlin casually looked up. "I don't think there's any rush. That manual that was in the principal's office has already been wildly discussed by everyone. Yet today the academy set the rule that whoever finds it keeps it. If it were really something important, they wouldn't give it to students so casually." The more he analyzed, the more convinced he became. Therefore, it can only mean that the manual doesn't contain anything significant. Luo Yu was left speechless, his black hair showing a trace of helplessness. Xiao Qian's analysis makes sense. I should go about my own business. Just as he turned to leave, the puppy in Xiao Qian's arms suddenly darted out. Unexpectedly, this playful puppy leaped onto young Master Luo's back, its small paws firmly gripping his clothes, seemingly unwilling to let go. Xiao Qian immediately cried out in surprise, hands frantically reaching for the puppy. "Don't run around. Why are you being so disobedient?" He was about to help, but seeing Luo Yu's trembling body, he stopped. "What's wrong with you?" Luo Yu's body became incredibly stiff, his usually cold expression cracking. "Please, Xiao Qian, I'm begging you, get it off me quickly." Zhao Qianlin stood dumbfounded, his beautiful eyes turning into circles, seemingly blind to the man's frantic pleas. However, he still maintained some rationality and quickly took back the mischievous puppy. "I've taken it away. Are you afraid of dogs?" Lu Yu seemed completely drained of energy, collapsing on the ground without caring about his image. "Of course I'm not afraid of dogs. I was just startled." Now it was their turn. Xiao Qianqian looked at him helplessly with contemptuous eyes, then coldly said, "Oh." He dropped the puppy again, as if testing something. The previously panting youth suddenly jumped up again. Zhao Qianling suppressed his urge to laugh, looking him up and down teasingly. "I never thought Lu Yu would be afraid of dogs. It completely breaks his image." Lu Yu collapsed on the ground again, trembling uncontrollably. "Good thing I dodged in time. I almost lost my life," Lu Yu shouted with a red face. "Lin Qian, you absolutely must not tell anyone. This must be kept secret, especially from Xikong Zhongshan." Xiao Qian laughed while holding the puppy, praising young Master Luo. "This is so amusing. I didn't know you had such an adorable side." However, while peace prevailed below, two black-clad figures appeared in the woods, secretly planning a murder. That person beside him must be Lu Yu, and the other is his exam opponent. They must be working together. They've planned it all. With so many of us here, they won't dare to run. This poison weapon can take care of both of them. Zhao Qianlin put down the puppy, gently patting its head. "Stay here, be good." Then he quickly looked up, his eyes sharply observing several figures. The monkeys in the tree must be tired of crouching up there. Lu Yu seemed to have noticed already, quickly looking up with a stern expression. His bangs covered part of his face, making his gaze hard to detect. The black-clad figures who were hiding in the treetops suddenly stopped concealing themselves. They charged down with swords drawn. Zhao Qianlin remained stationary, his fair hand suddenly drawing the sword at his waist. He quickly flew forward to counter them. His straight sword flashed with several strikes. These continuous fierce movements were too much for the black-clad men to handle. Xiao Qianqian suddenly looked back, his beautiful eyebrows furrowing deeply. "Young Master Luo, shouldn't you get up now? Are you letting me fight all these people alone?" However, our young Master Luo was naturally thick-skinned. Ignoring his slightly angry companion in front, he smiled and refused the request for help. Zhao Qianlin struggled against multiple opponents, his sword swinging non-stop. "But who are these people? They can't be the ones who forced my mother to her death." "Fake smile, Prince." Little Liu sat aside, tilting his head slightly. Lin Qian's martial arts seemed familiar. At this moment, a dramatic scene suddenly unfolded. Unexpectedly, Xiao Qian reached out and pulled off the black-clad person's mask that they were desperately trying to hide. It turned out to be that student who almost entered the school. She nervously twitched her lips, her sharp eyes showing a hint of embarrassment. Zhao Qianlin was puzzled at this moment. His big eyes stared blankly at the man, right eyebrow raised high. "Who exactly are you?" The man immediately shouted angrily. "You brat, you forgot so quickly? I'm the one who teamed up with Lu Yu during the exam that day. It's all your fault. I couldn't enter the academy." The more he spoke, the angrier he became. His body seemed ready to explode with power. He seized the opportunity to raise his leg and kick Xiao Qian in the chest. But Xiao Qian wouldn't let them have their way. He had already started spinning to dodge, but the black-clad person behind him seemed to anticipate this and charge forward again. Lu Yu suddenly appeared at this moment, catching the falling Xiao Qian with one hand. Then he prepared to withdraw, not wanting to fight alone. Zhao Qianlin was carried on his shoulder, barely able to hold onto his sword. He seemed unaware, dispersing several cold glints in place. His slender fingers secretly tightened, and countless silver needles flew from that short fan, quickly and silently piercing toward the enemy. When Lu Yuqing finally acted, he took down many at once. Like a precious young master, he waved his sleeve, not getting any dirt on himself. He looked at the fallen black-clad figures, nodding very reservedly. Then he patted Xiao Qian's bottom, indicating the job was done. Although Xiao Qian was male, he wouldn't allow anyone to pat his bottom. He raised his head in disbelief, his little face instantly turning bright red. He quickly jumped down from the man's body, one hand gripping his sword, the other not to be outdone, directly giving him a big slap. Lu Yu lowered his head in disbelief, casually rubbing his stinging cheek. Xiao Qian shyly retorted, "Clean up your own mess." She blinked in confusion, her cold eyes showing bewilderment. "Aren't they all down already? Why did you hit me?" But before he could get his companion's answer, he collapsed straight down. This scene left Xiao Qian stunned, his small hand quickly reaching out. He supported the already unconscious man, fingers tightly gripping his clothes. "Lu Yu, what happened? Why did you suddenly faint?" The thoughts in his mind suddenly went blank, as he too began to feel dizzy and weak. His small hand that was gripping the man's clothes quietly fell away. They fell slowly like cotton. The previously unconscious black-clad figures miraculously stood up. The middle one coldly snorted in displeasure. An evil spider suddenly appeared, crawling out from behind Lu Yu's neck. Its little paws happily pounced toward its master in front. Another spotted spider slowly appeared, lazily crawling out from behind Xiao Qian's neck, forming a stark contrast with the first one. The satisfied black-clad person squatted down, casually taking out a small wooden box. "Where's their mighty kung fu now? How are they so hard to deal with?" "They still fell to my poison. But these two are truly beautiful, with such delicate skin. They're the finest of tonics." So he grabbed Lu Yu's face, examining it perversely. "Though they're tempting to look at, it's a pity they're both men." The black-clad person held Lu Yu's head with one hand, then actually stuck out his tongue, licking his cheek inch by inch, as if trying to satisfy his hunger. That friend who came with the man was covered in goosebumps. "I can't believe the person you found is such a pervert." The man who hadn't entered the academy bent down to pull up their clothes, planning to quickly carry them to the forest for a beating while they were still unconscious. The perverted man noticed something with his keen observation and quickly raised his hand to block the black-clad person's path. "If I didn't see wrong just now, this one should be a woman. Although dressed as a man, there are bandages bound around the chest. I thought this kid looked too delicate, so it turns out to be a woman." He snatched the woman from the black-clad person's shoulder, his lips curling into a perverted smile. "I'm taking this one. Deal with Lu Yu yourselves." Then, after a long while, a foxtail grass woke up the unconscious Lu Yu. Sikong Chongshan was squatting leisurely nearby, his slender fingers holding a foxtail grass. "Luo, pigface, you're finally awake." That noble young master, now tied up with hemp rope, shouted without caring about his image. "Sikong, why are you here?" Sikong Chongshan exclaimed it was his lucky day to see young Master Luo beaten to a pig face and tied to a tree. This made him very uncomfortable. "Did you come specifically to mock me?" Chongshan poked him again with the foxtail grass. Then he nodded vigorously. "That's right, I came to mock you. Want the rope untied? Then beg me." Lu Yu felt uncomfortable all over, his little face turning bright red instantly. "Sikong Chongshan, you're taking advantage of my situation. Quickly untie me." But facing the unmoved man, he finally realized his bound situation. So he began pleading in an extremely small voice. Sikong Chongshan felt immensely satisfied inside, barely holding back his rising smile. This guy is really obedient. How about barking like a dog too? Just as he suggested the dog barking, they heard a real dog bark. This surprised both of them, and they turned their heads simultaneously to look. It turned out to be the little dog Xiao Qian had picked up, trotting over with a sword in its mouth. Sikong Chongshan picked up the sword it was carrying, his amber eyes reflecting surprise. "This is Xiao Qian's sword. Why is it here?" The man tied to the tree explained quietly. "Xiao Qian was here just now. I can't remember clearly what happened after." Chongshan couldn't hold back his roar. "Where is Xiao Qian now? What exactly happened? Why do I only see you?" Lu Yu ignored the wounds on his face. He looked at him seriously. "I was ambushed by the person who teamed up with me during the exam. Then I passed out." Chongshan rubbed his aching forehead, his lowered face showing helplessness. "What does this have to do with Xiao Qian? She must have been caught up in your trouble. But shouldn't their target be Pighead Luo? Why do they only take Xiao Qian? Could it be that secret was discovered?" The more he thought about it, the more wrong it felt. So he quickly gripped Xiao Qian's sword and looked down at the dog again. "You can find this sword's owner, right?" The puppy wagged its tail frantically, its little face showing confidence. It kept howling, as if saying, "Of course I can." The forgotten young master Lu Yu kicked his legs randomly, but the hemp rope was tied too tightly. He couldn't break free at all. This action caught Chongshan's attention. He stepped back to the man in a few strides, his hand pressing down on Luoyu's head. I advise you to stay put. His voice became extremely hoarse, his eyes filled with anxiety. Luo Pighead, listen well. If anything happens to Xiao Qian, you're really dead. Luoyu was so frightened by his aura that he couldn't retort for a moment. But when he came to his senses, the man and dog were already far gone. He couldn't help shouting, Sikong, I humbled myself to beg you to untie me, yet you leave without even looking back. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, completely abandoning his usual noble young master demeanor. Sikong Chongshan, how stupid. He has no chance going alone. Meanwhile, the worried about Xiao Qian was lying unconscious on a haystack. A gentle breeze brushed past her cheek, making her appear even more enchanting. The perverted black-clad person squatted nearby with lecherous eyes, his narrow eyes filled with naked desire. Looks like she's about to wake up. This is going to be interesting. As expected, Xiao Qian didn't disappoint, slowly opening her eyes. Upon seeing an unfamiliar face, she felt puzzled. The man quietly confirmed she was awakened by the fall. After all, having been poisoned by my spider, normal people would remain unconscious for at least 2 days. Zhao Qinlin stared at him unblinkingly, seemingly trying to find answers on his face. Where is this place? Why can't I move? I remember suddenly losing consciousness. I had just steadied the unconscious Liu. Then that drowsiness came over me too. The man's voice rang out. This is indeed no ordinary person. His pupils suddenly contracted, showing extreme shock and disbelief. The perverted black-clad man watched him with an evil expression, his messy eyebrows suddenly raising. His voice remained as evil as ever. Of course I know your identity. As he spoke, he reached out toward Xiao Qian. His lecherous hand touched her collar. Feeling the woman's slight trembling, he let out a low laugh. Zhao Qinling, like a thorny rose, burst out with all her thorns when touched by the man's lecherous hand. Get away! Don't touch me! The man seemed unsurprised by this, still so spirited after being poisoned. I advise you to save your strength. Even though you're awake, your body has no strength. He reached out to touch her small mouth. The soft sensation instantly stimulated his nerves. Be good. I'll be gentle with you. Unexpectedly, the stubborn woman would rather die than submit. That secretly open mouth tried to bite him, so he immediately slapped her. Already having strength to bite? Even with strong martial arts and internal energy, you shouldn't recover this quickly. You must have experienced many poisons and herbs before. He licked that finger again, suddenly chuckling. I really underestimated you. You're completely different from those useless young masters. A cool breeze suddenly rushed in through the door. A loud bang startled someone from their shameless actions. It was Sikong Chongshan who had quickly arrived, just in time to see the man's behavior. He quietly gripped the sword in his hand. Looks like I've finally found you. Zhao Qinling suddenly sat up hurriedly, her watery eyes staring directly at him. She seemed unable to believe Chongshan would come. Sikong Chongshan looked at his beloved woman. Her clothes were disheveled and her hair messy. Instantly, fierce anger surged in his chest. The black-clad man, as if not noticing, dared to mock. I've seen quite a few noble people today. Even young Master Sikong has come personally. He grabbed the woman's chin, the scar on his mouth noticeably deepening. Then this lady must also be someone important. He suddenly raised his head provocatively. I've also taken quite a liking to this lady. If you want her, come and fight me for her. Indeed, the black-clad man showed no martial ethics, charging forward with his sword. Fortunately, Chongshan was prepared and quickly stepped back. But the sword came again, making him barely dodge the attack. From afar came Xiao Qian's voice, warning him about the man's spider. The black-clad man laughed coldly with indifference, his body emanating a sinister confidence. He's not worthy of my spider. A knife is enough for him. While mocking, he moved swiftly. Countless sharp sword lights appeared around Sikong Chongshan. Young Sikong's arm was suddenly cut. Those sword lights were impossible to dodge. Could it be he doesn't know martial arts? He just stood there blankly, holding his sword, showing no resistance, until blood splashed from his chest. He had no reaction at all. The black-clad man quickly withdrew his sword. Xiaomo stared fixedly at the back. Young Chongshan, who had come to rescue, now fell down. Zhao Qianlin, who had been forcing herself to sit up, instantly lost all strength in her heart. She collapsed back onto the haystack, glaring at the black-clad man with hatred. He smiled wickedly as he walked quickly forward, inquiring with great interest in a low voice, "Why are you crying? I haven't done anything to you yet." Just as he was about to step forward, his ankle was suddenly grabbed tightly. Young Sikong spoke in a muffled voice. "I haven't finished arguing with him yet. When did it become your turn to talk to him? But if you dare take one more step closer to him, I absolutely won't let you leave this door alive." Sikong Chongshan, keep my word." Zhao Qianlin lay helplessly on the ground, her big eyes filled with tears. She reached out her small hand again, struggling to crawl forward. The black-clad man had lost all patience. He directly kicked the man's chest and started cursing under his breath. "You arrogant brat, still so proud, even at death's door." While he was dealing with the struggling brat, he momentarily let his guard down. Xiao Qian grabbed a bunch of straw and quickly threw it at the back of his head. She struggled to throw the straw, her weak voice constantly ringing out, "You're truly a bastard. I won't let you hit him." The black-clad man was extremely angered by the provocation. He strode to the woman's front. "Looks like you can't wait. The one who came to save you is just useless." Sikong Chongshan lay in a pool of blood. He suddenly heard waves of naked mockery, making him clench his fists. Unexpectedly, he stood up, one hand covering his frantically bleeding wound. "Let go of him. This is my last warning." The black-clad man grabbed Xiao Qian's hair, involuntarily turning around. "You can still stand? You're more annoying than flies." Sikong Chongshan felt the powerful energy within his body. His bangs covered his grim expression. Several breaths passed. The black-clad man shook his head indifferently. "Such stubbornness will cost you your life. Soon you'll fall from my spider poison." Sikong grabbed the disgusting poisonous spider, his face dark, dripping blood. "Caught so easily. You're the one who will die. This thing in my hand is yours, right?" Quite a variety of tricks. This scene made the black-clad man cry out in disbelief. His spider had been crushed in one grip. He drew his sword and began attacking fiercely. "How dare you kill my spider?" Zhao Qianling opened her eyes with worry, but her body had no strength. She kept cursing her weak resistance. Young Sikong caught his sword. The blood on his hand was terrifying. The black-clad man's eyes widened. How is this possible? He didn't care how unbelievable it was to the black-clad man. He directly chopped at his neck, calmly and easily finishing him off. Zhao Qianlin stared blankly ahead, tears falling from her eyes. Is this real? How does Chongshan know martial arts? The angry Sikong knocked his opponent to the ground with a heavy punch. Instant silence fell. Only heavy breathing could be heard. He walked to his beloved woman, pulled up her small hand, then carefully spoke. "It's all right now. I've taken care of everything." Zhao Qianlin could no longer control herself and burst into tears, sobbing from emotion. This fool got himself all wounded again. Sikong Chongshan paid no attention to his battle-worn appearance. "You must have many questions. I'll tell you everything later. Didn't you promise me something earlier? Close your eyes. Don't cry." He immediately bent down to kiss her forehead, his love pouring out like a flood.